no dodge.
Perfect.
Well, hello and welcome in, everybody. My name is Ashma. You saw me do this last year. However, I was only doing the DLC. This time around, we are here with the main game of Ghost of Tsushima. And since it's a pretty chunky run, I'm not doing this alone because I have a wonderful partner sitting right next to me.
Yes, I'm Elk, and this is my first time running Ghost at a marathon, so that's a lot of fun, and ready for a good race, hopefully.
It is not your first one in a marathon, though, because you
no.
did Horizon Forbidden West just earlier.
Yeah. I'm usually the guy that only runs Horizon, so just go by that.
Which is pretty interesting to see you running Ghost of Tsushima, actually, but I guess we can get into that a little bit later on, because, we will have a lot of time to talk about other things, because it's a 3-hour run.
Yeah.
It's a comfy one, fitting for nearly 5 a.m. our time. So I guess let's just go ahead and get into it, because we do have a lot of time to fill, I want to say. But yeah, we will be doing the New Game Plus, or any percent New Game Plus lethal with DLC category of the game. Basically meaning, any percent should be really clear. Beat the game as fast as possible. New Game Plus, we will have access to all weapons, armor sets, etc., right from the get-go. Lethal is the hardest difficulty in the game, which we'll be playing on, and as you can see on screen here. Death is always close at hand. A single sword strike is lethal, basically meaning that we are prone to die, basically in one sword strike, maybe a second one, but so are the enemies, making this an actually pretty fast category, as we'll see a little bit later. And then we got a donation incentive that has been met as far as I'm aware, so we will actually be playing with the Japanese voiceovers, so not in English. We will get the true samurai cinema experience here.
But English subtitles for those who
Yes.
speak Japanese, such as myself.
Same. So, we will be skipping all the cutscenes anyway, but you
but there's
do
plenty of
get still quite a lot of talking in this game. All right, and with that, once we selected the name of our horse, that is when time will start.
Yeah,
so
only one of us has to press the button, I believe, correct? Yes.
Yes, okay, good. Then I guess we'll just get ready on that. You ready?
Yes, you count down.
I
I'll
will
go.
Okay,
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
I guess I have to ask, what horse name did you go for?
I would go with Kage.
Okay, I went for Nobu.
All right. Let's not talk about that immediately, but I think, we get a black horse because this is actually a horse that you can only get on New Game Plus if you're playing on that. So I just think, it's fitting because it's also the only black horse that you can get in the game.
Yep.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. As we already explained, we will be playing the main quest, or the main game, meaning we will finish all the main quests of the game. I actually don't know exactly how many of them there are here. I think about 27 or so. Might be wrong on that count. Actually, never counted them out, which is pretty interesting. Maybe I should do that at one point.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
I've been playing this game for so long and so often, and I never actually counted that out. It's actually struck me for the first time here. Yeah, so if you don't know the story of this game, basically what happens is loosely follows historic events, like, basically the frame setting of the game is historically accurate, but whatever happens in the actual game's story is, I don't want to say completely made up, but it is.
Let's call it alternate history, I suppose. I guess we can talk a little bit about the differences between history and what happens in this game throughout the run, but yeah. But inspired by historical events, and then go on from there.
Exactly. So basically what happens, the Japanese island of Tsushima, which basically is somewhere between Japan and the Chinese mainland, got invaded by the Mongol invaders because they want to use it as a staging ground to actually invade mainland Japan. And yeah, they slaughtered all of the samurai on the island, like from the get-go. And but they missed one, or rather, he survived, which is Jin Sakai, our main character. And of course, he can't have it. He doesn't want all these Mongol invaders on his island for obvious reasons. So we are now trying to fight back against that. Our first goal for the first main act of the game will be to free our uncle, because he too is alive, but got captured by the Mongol forces. And Jin believes that, his uncle has faced innumerable odds during his lifetime as the Jito of Tsushima Island. Basically, he's the top dog, so to speak.
Jito basically refers to as a governor of the island for the shogun, who is the main head of Japan at the time.
Yeah. And, it's basically our first goal to free him in the first act, but obviously we can't do that alone. I mean, Jin tried that in tutorial. We actually skipped the tutorial on New Game Plus. It is not part of the run. You can't even play it on New Game Plus. But if you were to start from a fresh save file, you would have to go through that, where Jin tries to fight his way alone through a whole Mongol fortress. Obviously, it fails at one point. And now he wisens up. He tries to find some allies so he can try again. And that is basically what we are doing all throughout Act 1, is gather more allies so we can stage another attack on Castle Kaneda and free our uncle. The first thing we did here when we gained control of our character was to grab a fast travel point, a survivor's camp, which we will be using a little bit later into the run, because every time you find basically a camp or a point of interest, you get a fast travel option to go there on a little bit quicker. And after that, both of us, I believe, equipped the Mongol Commander's armor. This is actually an armor that you would get very late in the game. I think at the end of the game, more or less, if you do something.
Yeah, it's one of the very last side tails you unlock. And tails in this game is quest. But they want to be unique and call it tails. But I'm probably going to refer to them as quest throughout the game.
Same, man.
Because it just makes it a little bit easier when you swap between games.
And the thing with the Mongol Commander's armor is, or with every armor set per se, is they have like built-in perks, which are like passive bonuses. And the perks of the Mongol Commander's armor is that you are harder for enemies to detect, because you are basically cosplaying as a Mongol. And so all these stealth missions are basically a little bit easier for you while wearing this particular armor set. We're doing our first quest. We're trying to recruit Yuna to our cause, or rather trying to free her brother Taka from a Mongol prisoner camp. And this is where Jin does his first stealth kill. He's basically becoming somewhat of an assassin, and that goes against his moral code. And this is why we have this flashback where we are hunting a bear with our uncle back in the past.
Yeah, there's a lot more, what are they called, flashbacks throughout the game. Most of them are in the intro, basically access tutorials. But there's also some that happens when you perform certain tasks, stealth tasks. And we obviously want to avoid those, because having a random cutscene pop up in the middle of combat is just not good. But we can talk more about that, because only a few places where we are at risk of triggering them. But yeah, basically Jin basically fights throughout the game with the moral dilemma of, does he follow the samurai code, or does he do what's basically necessary to save the island of Tsushima? So the first quest here is relatively simple because of the Mongol armor. It's normally a stealth mission. But with the Mongol armor, you'll see it's going to get a lot crazy later on, where you can just run through a ton of enemies without being spotted. It only counts for Mongol enemies, and we will have other enemies other than Mongol later on. But we can basically just run past them because they don't realize Jin is not Mongol, and run straight up to the end, kill the guard, let the Straw Hat free, and yeah, go down here onto the beach, where we realize that Taka is not actually here. He has been moved to Azamo Bay, and Jin also learns that the Straw Hats is down in the Kishi grasslands, because he wants to, again, recruit as many allies as possible to free Lord Shimura. So the Straw Hats, who are basically a band of mercenaries that you can hire for pay, obviously fits that requirement.
I don't know, what you see at my end there was, I was a little bit too fast, which meant I lost my NPC companions. They stayed behind, so I had to walk back a little bit and fetch them again, obviously losing a little bit of time. So that is like something that can actually pretty easily happen in this game, is where you just go a little bit too fast with your NPC companions, and they get left behind because they are following a set path. And then you have to go back and grab them again, obviously losing a little bit of time there in the process. It's not too bad, but it's just very annoying whenever it happens.
Exactly.
You're basically getting punished for speedrunning the game,
Yeah, and speedrunners are obviously not known for their patience, so we always try to push the limit. How far can we go away from NPC before they stop and be like, where did he go? It's you have to learn it the hard way throughout the most of this game, where the limits are, and sometimes you're like, is the limit really there? You try it out, and then it's like, oh yeah, it was there. Yeah. So that's how it usually works with a lot of those.
While we are on our way to our next quest, Josh, how about one quick donation?
One quick donation. In that case, we got $50 from J. Windham, who says, good luck, Aish and Elk. Don't forget to scan the charger.
Thank you, Jaywin, for the reminder. I guess I can quickly explain that context. I recently did a lot of Platinum Trophy speedruns for Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, I can see where this is going.
And 2 of the runs failed because I forgot to scan the basic of basic machines called the charger.
It's just so basic that you forget about it, right?
Yeah, it's literally the first machine. It's just like, surely I did it, right?
So this is actually the counter thesis to what we did just now. Why are these guys not moving? You know, we can actually leave behind Sensei Ishikawa here because he will join us again after we reload the checkpoint here. So I actually left him behind on purpose. But yeah, why were these guys absolutely not moving at all? I think it's safe to say that this game is actually, I want to say, full of RNG in a way, simply because of the terror mechanic. Now, what the terror mechanic is that certain of your abilities and actually the ghost armor that we'll be wearing in just a little while have a built-in perk that makes it so that enemies can get terrified of you. And what that means is if they do get terrified, they will drop their weapons and immediately flee the battlefield. So you don't have to care about them like at all. They're basically counting as being defeated. So you can basically get, you know, 2 for 1, so to speak. You kill one Mongol and another one flees. However, it isn't a 100% chance. We do equip charms, which are like passive bonuses to our armor set to make it near 100%. I want to say it's about 90.
Yeah, it's pretty high percentages, but all our setups for all our outfits, most of them are basically percentage-based, so we're just playing with the odds, and yeah. So even though it works most of the time, you do have to be on your toes when it's, you know, that one time.
That is where like a lot of the fights can go wrong pretty quickly, because obviously you are relying on that terror chance, and if it just doesn't go through and you have to chase down that very last enemy during an encounter, it can obviously screw you over quite a bit.
Yeah, and you'll especially see it here in the fight coming up here in the fort we do with Sensei Ishikawa, because early on in New Game Plus, even though you have all your outfits and setups from a previous playthrough, you don't have any ammo or supplies or whatever. So starting off early in the run, we basically are very limited in ammo, but trust me, that will quickly change once we're about halfway through Act 1.
Yeah.
But that does mean the first fort fight here actually has quite a ton of enemies, and the more that get terrified, the better. But obviously we try to play the odds and set them on fire, because we have a bonus where if an enemy is set on fire, it is more likely to terrify another. So you'll see us use a lot of fire attacks throughout the game. And yeah, just you can probably, if you pay attention to both of our screens now, you could probably see a completely different fight depending on which enemy is gonna get terrified here.
This can go pretty wild pretty quickly.
Yeah, this is usually the big reset point at the beginning of runs.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you are just not having the odds on your side.
Also, another thing what we will do here, we will have a couple of ammo pickups with the arrows in just a little bit. And the pickups themselves are basically static. You know, you will always find this array of arrows gathered around you. However, the amount you get is based on the difficulty that you're playing on. If you're playing on easy, you get a lot of arrows here, and the higher difficulty is, the less arrows and of lesser quality they are that you get. Meaning that since we are playing on lethal difficulty, we are getting basically the ass end of the arrow pickups here. We're trying to get rid of these enemies outside of the fort pretty quickly. So this gate here opens so that we can then go ahead and take care of the Mongols inside of it. Oh wow, that was absolutely nothing happened there. Okay, well,
decent fight.
Close.
I had 2 guys left on the roof there. Usually it's the roof guys you really want to terrify in this fight, because you can really only snipe them with the arrows, so the more that are left at the end, the worse it is. And I had 2 left there. If you do it really well, there will be none left. But yeah.
I don't know what it is with my save in particular, but all these roof enemies just do not get terrified for me lately. I don't know why. I have to kill all of them one by one. And it saves, it doesn't save a lot of time. It loses you a lot of time. I was really unlucky with that fight.
Yeah. One thing I personally noticed in this fight recently through practicing it is it almost seems like you kind of want to wait a bit for all the enemies to spawn in before you start setting them on fire when you're inside the fort. That way it's more likely you get somebody terrified because they actually, you can't really see it, but they spawn kind of in 2 waves. So, you might have seen on my screen, I hit a little bit and then they just kind of staggered. I actually want them to rush me because it makes it easier to set them on fire, but I guess I was staying a little too hidden around the corner, so I had to run out and go for a little bit alternative shots.
But, you know, we got through our fight right here in whatever way, and now we are doing a little bit of talking here. What actually Sensei Ishikawa wants, he lost his pupil ran away because he is an archery teacher. And, you know, he's now looking for her. We find out that she was actually held prisoner in this camp right here. However, she kind of got her freedom back by now teaching the Mongols her way of the bow, which obviously she learned from Sensei Ishikawa. And there is a whole, you know, follow quest line where you find her or try to find her, chase around the island, try and get her. But
you can
do
push
none of
Ishikawa,
that.
by the way.
We'll do none of that because, you know, it's not part of the main quest, so we won't see that. And,
Can I jump in here a second?
Just a little bit, because we are just about to finish that quest, and then we have to make a long way to our next quest.
I can understand why just wants to rush in, because out of the corner of my eye, I can see a very nice round number.
We were just trying to, you know, get to the point where just do a little bit of riding here, and I guess we are at that point now. So,
yeah,
Josh,
just take over.
We have just raised $80,000 for Alzheimer Hooray! 4 a.m. Hooray!
Let's go.
There you go. Yeah.
Can we make it
Can we hear it in the
90,000?
crowd?
Yeah.
Can we make it 90
God,
during this run?
It's really soundproof. I can't hear the crowd.
And the donation that got us there was an anonymous $78 donation who just said 80K sniped. Indeed, it was. Thank you. So, yeah, I have more time to read, yes?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, we have a lot here. We have $25 from Best Auntie Ever, who says, "Good luck, 2 great runners. So happy to watch this race. I'm thankful I found Elk and his community. His videos have been helpful, has helped me out of a many stuck moment in my own gameplay." Thank you for that. We have $15 from Tainted Tali, who says, "Best luck in the race, both of you, love heart." And they put their $15 towards the mirror race coming up later today. In the Lunstons Any Percent, if we reach that incentive, one of the runners will play in completely mirrored mode. We also have a $10 donation from Kobe, who says, "Good luck, have fun to Aishma and Elk. Thanks for being awake at this hour. Maybe it's Japanese time zone? May your NPCs be reliable and your horses go fast." Thank you.
It is definitely a Japanese time zone, because as a Formula 1 fan, I'm used to waking up at these hours for the Japanese Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever that comes around.
We may have to talk F1 later.
Ah, yes, sure.
And finally, we have a $10 donation from Emerald Alley, who says, "Good luck and have lots of fun, Asian Elk. I know you'll do us ghosties proud." And they ask for a runner's choice. If so, they'll give you $5 each.
I think that mirrored thing sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. I have also just opened a new incentive. It's, if I can find it now, it's Super Mario 64. The randomizer run later. We have a $2,000 incentive to upgrade it to a 70-star race instead of a 30-star run.
A quick shout out to Emerald Alley here. She is the basically founding member of the Ghost of Tsushima community. However, funnily enough, she never did a run of the game until very recently, where she did some of the dual rush categories that we have. Because what Sucker Punch did in a later patch to the game, they added in that you can replay all of the duels in the game, which are basically the boss fights. And, you know, we made a category out of that because it's basically some kind of a boss rush mode for us, which is pretty nice. It's a pretty rad category to run. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on which of the subcategories you run. And she's really into that.
Yeah. The dual rush is definitely something a few of the runners have been into. And, yeah. But yeah, nice, great little category. We do have shorter categories compared to this, because this is a bit of a long one. As Ash mentioned, we, of course, have the DLC, which is only about, 45 minutes, I believe, at this point?
Something like that. Yeah, it's somewhere in the 45s to 50s.
Yeah. So right here we are now on the third quest here, which is the tale of Lady Masako, which is the first in her quest line, but it is required for the main quest, where we'll try to recruit her as well. So we have basically just investigated her estate, the Dachi estate, which turns out that it's been under attack, and basically she is the only survivor. From some killers she doesn't know about, but if you play through all of her storyline, you'll eventually figure out what happened there. Turns out to be a little bit of a family squabble, and they took advantage of the Mongol invasion while the battle was going on Komoda Beach against the Mongols. Their house was basically sacked, and now she's on the hunt to find the killers. And if we help her, at least here in the first tale, she'll help us basically for the rest of the game. But you can't do all of them. And by the way, one fun thing I always like to point out here, because right here at the graves, in this game, you press R2 to pay respect, if you know the famous meme of pressing F to pay respect.
Always catches me off guard.
Yeah. So R2 to pay respect to the fallen in the game. And I'm pretty sure when it comes out on PC, it'll say press F to pay respect.
I think it is one of the last PlayStation exclusive that didn't get a PC port yet, and a
Out
lot
of
of people are
the
waiting.
PS4 ones, obviously everyone is screaming for Bloodborne right now. That's one of them.
That too, absolutely.
But that's one of the very early ones. But the later ones have been the ones that have come into PC. And yeah, Ghost and I believe Last of Us Part 2 are the only ones at this point that are not there. But if you paid attention to the game releases, basically Zero Dawn was 3 years after the game came out. Same for God of War, and I believe Spider-Man roughly 3 years. And it just so happens when we reach July of this year, Ghost will be 3 years old. And well, I don't want to bring up leaks, but it does seem to suggest that Ghost will be on PC this year. So we're very much looking forward to that.
We're ready for the surge of new runners flooding the boards once the PC run goes
Yeah,
live.
and just generally, this game is amazing, and I feel like, even though it does very well and all that, I feel like it's a bit overlooked outside PlayStation, so I hope a lot of people will, what's it called, take it in once it comes to PC.
Yeah, even though this is a AAA big release for the PlayStation, and a lot of people have played it, I think when it released, it was one of the fastest selling IPs or highest selling IPs.
I believe it's still Sony's fastest selling new IP ever.
Yeah, exactly. And even though that is the case, the speedrun community for this game is actually pretty small.
Yeah, I think that had a little bit to do with how the game launched, because as we mentioned, we're doing New Game Plus, and there's a very good reason why nobody does New Game runs in this game, because
you can't skip the cutscene.
Exactly, you can't skip cutscenes, so the run is basically just twice as long. So
yeah, it's like
And when we say cutscene, that includes dialogue, so nothing can be skipped. So.
Like when I started speedrunning the game, which was in the early hours when the game released, I wasn't one of the first speedrunners, but I was very quickly, I was going to say the second charge or something of speedrunners of the game, and we did a New Game Plus then. So every one we did it from a fresh save file, which took us about 7 hours to do because you had to watch all of the cutscenes, which was a very long one. And that was basically my introduction to speedrunning in a way, because this was only the second game I ever started speedrunning. So, it definitely trained my stamina for long runs. I wanted to say in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I know some speedrunners will disagree with the statement. I always like to say the perfect speedrun is between 1 and 2 hours.
I'm kind of starting to lean towards that myself, to be fair.
But like 3 hours, it's fine. It's doable. You can do a run a day if you have a good, decent amount of free time, I would say. So, but yeah, with PC release and potentially, I'm not paying attention. Then hopefully we'll see some more runners, or at the very least some more people try the game. And right here, we are following one of the guys that has a lead on Masako's killers. And we can do a little bit of a trick here, where once he gets to that point running past that tree, you can run all the way to the estate where you're supposed to follow him to. But we can get there without him being there, if we run at the right time, like I just did there. It's going to look like the timer is about to end, but it ends right here because we get close enough. And then we get a fun little cutscene where they talk to him, even though he isn't there. And then we are thrown right into a duel. Or a standoff, sorry. And standoffs are kind of slow, so I'm gonna skip it here.
This is actually something that you wouldn't be able to do on a fresh save file, because what we do here is we have the ghost stance loaded up, which you normally would get somewhere in Act 2.
Doing the ghost quest, yes.
And you know, they didn't probably ever think about programming that in or having a restriction there, so you can actually skip the standoff by just doing the ghost stance, because standoffs are kind of nice. You are able to kill 3 enemies and get a lot of resolve out of it, but you know, it's a very slow thing to do, so we do like to be able to skip that.
That guy took a while to get terrified, but we got there.
Now, when you are in the ghost stance, you are basically free to kill 3 enemies of your choosing. It kind of pays off to try and go for enemies that Masako wouldn't be able to easily kill, like the shield and the lance guys, because she does have problems with those.
Yeah. If you leave her alone with one of those guys, she just takes forever to kill them.
And with that, we have, you know, basically found and gotten or taken care of one of the conspirators against Clan Adachi, Masako's clan, and we are on our way to our next quest. So, Josh, donations.
Excellent. In that case, we have a $75 donation from a greedy old car who says, "Good luck, Elk. The Elk tribe are all pulling for you, and thanks to ESA for supporting such a great cause." Indeed, Alzheimer-fonden is a lovely cause. The Swedish Alzheimer Foundation providing fundraising for all the scientists doing all of the research for Alzheimer's. Do we have time for more?
Go ahead.
Sure.
It's a very long ride.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is a really long ride, so feel free to just do whatever you need to.
In that case, we have a $50 donation from your uncle who says, "I have been trying to write a haiku for you. Some things I just can't do." That was it.
Nice.
Also, speaking of haikus, please, if you can, make your donations a haiku or a pun. More importantly, make it a paiku, you know, a pun in a haiku, please,
yes.
because we definitely need those at these hours to keep us awake and keep the run going. So please, please, please keep your
If you
donations
have not
coming.
played the game, haikus are a thing in this game, and you
Yes.
see them twice in this run. We have to do 2 haikus.
Because they are mandatory, we cannot skip them. We have to do them, and you also cannot skip the cutscene once you have done them. So you definitely will get to see our poetry.
One thing I quickly want to point out here is you saw us right after we finished the Massacre quest switch back to the Mongol outfit. Not only because when the next quest we come to, we are once again gonna go stealthy, quotation, by running past all the enemies, but we also have an extra charm slot free on our outfit, which we have used to give us extra ammo and supplies as we ride along. So this is where we start getting loaded up on ammunition, because like we said, this is a really long ride and there's just a ton of things to pick up. So you see us maybe go a little bit of a not so straight line in a few places just to pick up a few specific things, like the smoke bombs right here that I'm picking up. And yeah, we just get, I think isn't it just twice as much for everything we pick up with this outfit? Yeah.
But again, it is random how many you actually get from the pickups. So for example, for the black powder bomb pickups, you usually get 2 of them, or 1 of them.
Either one or two, yeah.
With the charm loadout, that would be 2, but sometimes you can get lucky and get a 2 pickup with, again, with the charm loadout, we give us 4. So whenever you see 4 black powder bombs, that is really lucky for us to get as a pickup. Anyway, Josh, continue.
Okay. I've got another $50 donation from Erin, 4464, who says, "Hey Elk and Ash, good luck on your runs. So excited to get to see something like this. And thank you to Elk and the Elk tribe for always being awesome."
Thank you so much, guys. I can tell a lot of you are, well, I know a lot of you are American, so you're probably just, you know, it's probably just late an hour for you. But if you are staying up late for this, or for some reason woken up early for this, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. I really appreciate it. And I wouldn't even be able to be here if it wasn't for you guys, so thank you so much. And yeah, I guess right now we are also on the ride towards Azamo Bay, which is the one quest in the entire main quest, which is, let's just be honest, it's quite a drag, and it's here early in the run, because not only do we have to go to the very southern part of the map, it also is one of those quests that everybody loves, where you just have to follow a guy around for a while when we get there, as you'll see. More on that when we get there, but an important thing to note is also the route we are taking here. In order to save a lot of time later, we are actually not just going in a straight line to Azamo Bay, we actually are unlocking a lot of fast travel points for later quests. So even though this ride might seem long, it is also eliminating all the travel time from A to B to all the other quests. So once we are past Azamo Bay, you'll just notice that we'll pretty much just fast travel from quest to quest to quest.
I'm just engaging in full-on gamer mode here because it is actually night in my game right now, and the screen is so dark in this forest that I actually can't see where I'm riding.
Your screen is way darker than mine. I guess I have a little bit of an advantage there, but
made it.
my screen is also unusually bright, so once we get to certain sections, I think I'll have a disadvantage. By the way, here we are riding through this grassland here with this white grass. I don't know what you would otherwise call it, but I'm looking for purple plants as I'm riding through here, and I'm not spotting a single one, because when you pick up the purple plant, you get poison darts, which are quite useful, because we're going to get them later, and I only need 2, but I haven't spotted 1 yet, but there's still a good amount of grass there, so I should be fine.
We also don't need them until a little bit later in the run, so it should all be good.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a chance to get some later, even if we don't get them, and as always, we have backup strats. Because number 1 rule of speedrunning, always have backup strats ready, because if you do a long run, you will need them eventually.
And as we said before, you know, with the whole RNG thing of the terra mechanic, basically every encounter will lead into backup strats at some point, probably, because you just cannot really control them. You can control them at the start, you know, but once you throw that first bomb or kill that first enemy, things just start to go off the rails pretty fast. And I think, Josh, you have time for one more donation if you want to go through, because we are still not at our goal.
Oh, man. Okay, all right. We have a $20 donation from Charlatan 11235, who says, "Thanks, guys, for sharing the run. You make the community proud. Remember, the loser needs to buy the community some DARS. Thank you for representing the Go-To-Sue gang on this amazing campaign."
Yeah, Charlie is one of the main runners of this game.
Arguably, probably the guy that's run the game the most, I'm pretty sure, at this point.
I think so, yeah. I ran it a lot in the beginning and then kinda started, you know, branching into other games, and I think you
other samurai games, yeah.
Whereas you stuck to Zero Dawn and now are into Forbidden West?
Yes. I have said for the last year I want to branch out into other games. That just hasn't quite happened yet, but we're getting there.
Also, if you don't know what DARS is, we're basically getting it spelled out to us right here, right now. It's basically the Mongol word for sake.
Yeah. And if you don't know what sake is, it's what's it called, rice wine, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Japanese rice wine. Also, a funny glitch that can happen here, because, you know, we are having a conversation with our allies. However, if you run out of bounds, so to speak, you get that countdown. For some reason, Kenji is very insistent about some people that obviously fought back.
How many fought back?
A few.
Oh, I never pay attention, so I don't listen.
And a few more.
Yeah, and you can also do it with
And
some of his other voice lines, but the first thing he says is that, so we just do that over and over.
The funny thing is, this only happens with Kenji. If you advance that dialogue to another character and then run out of bounds and get back into again, their line gets skipped. And then it's Kenji's turn again. And if you do it for Kenji again, you know, his voice, I would start repeating it. The dialogue will not advance. It is only him that bugs out like that. We have no idea why. But it's pretty funny because, you know, he's a sake brewer and he likes alcohol pretty much. So maybe he's just drunk and doesn't know his own conversation is going, you know, words. Also, this is basically the only break we get in the run. So I'm going to take the opportunity to have a little drink here.
Yeah, this is usually the pee break in the beginning of the run, because you're not gonna get any more pee breaks for the next 2.5 hours. So there's that. If you want to get I can see a quick donation in before we get to the next section here. Feel free.
Yeah, okay. In that case, I would just like to let you guys know that we do have a bunch of bid wars and incentives open. We've got a bunch of lovely donations coming in. But not all of them are going to things. Did you know that every time you donate in the list, you can pick stuff to put your name, your donations towards?
Do that.
The next thing coming up is Darkest Dungeon. We have a Name the Heroes incentive, and that is going to be like a crazy, like, bingo randomizer run or something like that. They need so many names. They're going to go through so many heroes. We currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names. Probably not enough. So if you just donate $5, put a name into the pile, it's going to get picked out at some point. So you can name a hero in Darkest Dungeon, which is coming up in a few hours, I believe. It's, yeah, like 5 hours from now. So get your donations in for that.
So there's a funny, well, not necessarily funny. It's for us, it's a pretty bad glitch that can happen here. Because in just a moment, I think Elk already passed it.
Yep. I didn't get it, so we good.
We will get onto this roof, and then we have to look at a slave trader down there. However, what can happen sometimes if you look at him while he is getting back up again, and then he will still cycle between these slaves and not actually advance into the town, which basically means you have to restart the checkpoint because he can actually infinitely loop there. So you are just not... oh my god, what did I just do?
Yeah, so right here we're on everybody's favorite follow mission. You just saw me shoot a guy there with the heavy arrows, and very specifically the heavy arrows, because they're so strong that they knocked that guy so far into the back room of that house that he is out of the range for the guy to see him. And if you don't kill him, he's going to have a conversation with the guy we follow, so yeah, just saves a little... I think it actually saves like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
It's quite
pretty
important.
significant, for sure.
Yeah. Shoutouts... I think it was Charlie that found her, wasn't it?
I think it was actually a Japanese runner.
Oh.
At least I saw it there first.
Fair. I mean, I'm not quite sure. I just remember Charlie was the one telling me about it. But Charlie found a bunch of other stuff. Shoutouts to Charlie in general, I guess.
We did a lot of testing for different strategies and stuff. Sadly, none of them, or I don't want to say none of them, but a bunch of them didn't lead to anything. Because, for example, what you can do is with the horse, if you put your back of the horse basically into a gate or something like that, or a not too thick obstacle, and then throw a throw bomb, since the horse will get back on its hind legs and throw Jin off backwards, this can actually put you through doors. However, we haven't found a single useful application of that in the run anywhere, because there's just no point where that actually can come in handy. Which is actually leading back into the whole finding strategies in this game. It is programmed very rigidly. Like, the QA team at Sucker Punch did a phenomenal job of basically finding anything useful and just leaving in the useless stuff in a way.
Yeah, and the scary thing about it is they might be the best dev team ever at doing that, because like all the other games was like they made Sly games originally. You might have noticed we're doing this follow mission. If you played any Sly game, you might have deja vu right now. Because this is basically what you do in most Sly games, follow a guy around that talks about the plot. You can definitely see the Sly Cooper coming into it here. They also made Infamous, and as far as I'm aware, both Infamous and their Sly games are basically also not really broken in speedruns either, except Sly 1, the first, which is super broken to my understanding in speedrunning, and I guess after that they were like, no more.
Yeah.
Basically made the rest of the games glitchless. So good job on that one, guys. But we will find something.
So even though this is called the any percent category, you will basically see no glitches or anything off the kite happen. We just have to abide by the rules and basically play the game normally, except for we are Nukem Plus. We have this armor. We can quote unquote skip the stealth mission because the enemies won't be able to see us. Yada yada. But yeah, otherwise, when it comes to the fight, etc., we are basically on our own.
Yeah. You might have also noticed that I'm wearing a silly Sly Cooper headband just because I played that a lot in my childhood and it brings me luck in this run. Whereas I think Ash prefers to wear all the cool samurai helmets.
At least with this armor, I just like to go with a full-on set, so I have a different loadout for every armor.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do that with the outfits and the swords, and then just silly headband. Yes. But yeah, right here we freed Taga, so we finally have Yuna's brother Taga, who will see a good amount in this game. He's a blacksmith who's gonna help us out with a few things, and he's another ally that I guess has joined us now. Perhaps not for fighting, but at least he can create some tools for us.
Yeah, that's like a common thing that they point out throughout the whole game, is that Taka isn't exactly known for his bravery. Like, every time he's in a dangerous situation, his flight mechanism kicks in and he runs away from it or tries to hide or whatever. And that will actually be a major plot point later on in the game.
Exactly, but I would also argue, even though we'll talk about it when we get to it, he arguably does the most brave thing in the entire run, or game.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
But we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there.
In the meantime, while we are escaping from Azamo Bay, what you can see us do is probably do a sidestep a couple of times throughout this, because this game actually has a hidden stamina bar. You know, you probably know it from Dark Souls or whatever other game, where if you run for a certain while, the character will get tired, deplete his stamina, and you know, you have to just walk a bit or stand still or whatever it is. With Jin, it's kind of similar. You can kind of see him get out of breath if he continues running. He will eventually drop his head, and after that, he will just completely slow down. He won't be able to run anymore. However, for some reason, if you do a side or a dodge rather, or a roll, that completely refills his stamina, and he's just good to go again.
Yeah, but not a roll off a jump.
Yeah. Which is pretty interesting, you know, if you think about it. Just imagine you could play Dark Souls, and whenever you roll or dodge, it will refill your stamina.
I mean,
that would change the whole dynamic.
Exactly. In Dark Souls, it would just be a Sonic game at that point. I mean, do you see how much they roll in those games?
Exactly.
Just roll to get stamina back. Somebody make a Tsushima mod for Elden Ring or something. Every time you roll, you get stamina back.
Speaking of a roll, in the earlier stage of the game, we had a technique called the Tsushi roll, or the... it had a couple different names. I can't actually remember.
My favorite name was the Tumbleweed strat.
Right, the Tumbleweed. Basically, what that meant was, as long as an enemy had not detected you, and you started rolling and just never stopped, you were invisible to the enemies.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly why. It probably has something to do with that the roll actually inherited your detection status and didn't change it while the roll was happening. So you could just literally start rolling outside an enemy encampment, and as long as you kept rolling, nobody would ever catch you. Sadly, they patched that once the DLC, the Iki Island expansion, came out, so we can't do that anymore, which is why we are now forced to wear this Mongol commander's armor to basically, you know, do the same effect. But,
yeah, and it's arguably faster, because now you just run.
Yes and no, I want to say,
yeah,
because
you
do have to menu
yeah,
to actually put the armor on. We didn't have to do that.
In other words, it's basically the same at this point. But I will say I do miss Tumbleweed strat, because it was just so silly.
But hey, we are.
And now we are in the Straw Hat Lands. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's early in the morning.
Words, what are they?
Yeah. But we're in the Kushi Grasslands now, where we were trying to find the Straw Hats, and we're about to find them, or one of them, because it turns out the leader of the Straw Hats, who is going to be fighting some Mongols up here, is actually one of Jin's old, quote-unquote, friends, called Ryuzu, who is everybody's favorite character in this game. So, yeah, we're quickly going to fight here. There's a bunch of Mongols around, once again using the ghost ability to quickly skip through this, and again try to kill the enemies that Ryuzu will struggle with. You'll see me throw a bomb right here, and then a few of the enemies will... a few of the enemies there are really strong, so the fire bombs doesn't kill them immediately, so quickly switching to the arrows just to finish them off a little bit quicker. And that finishes that fight super quickly. And what's it called? Fun fact, I guess we can get into a little bit of the history of this game, or how it ties into original history. So you see us use the fire bombs there. And fun fact about the Mongol invasion of attempt of invading Japan, it was actually the first time in history that gunpowder was used outside of China. And it was used to make small bombs that could be thrown at enemies, such as the black powder bombs there. So that's a little bit of an inspiration that is actually based off real history. And I guess we can say that historical accuracy, even though it's not accurate to the game, because a lot of the armor and weapons that are in this game are not accurate to the time period, but they added them for, you know, spice up the gameplay. But at least that one then is actually based on true fact. So,
speaking of the black powder bombs, they are actually the most important item in our arsenal, I want to say, for the speedrun, because they, if you just use them normally, they aren't actually that great, but with all the passive bonuses that we give them, they have a huge radius, they deal a massive amount of damage, and they also set enemies on fire. And as Elk explained earlier, when we set enemies on fire, they also have a chance to terrify other enemies. You know, not only do they die from the blast radius of the bomb itself, those that survive will get caught on fire, they will start ticking down, and because they're on fire, they will have a chance to terrify enemies, and then they die off it and have the further chance to terrify enemies. And that is why the black powder bombs are basically the most important item that we have. However, we only can carry 5 at a time, so we are kind of limited in their usage. But whenever we can, you just see us throw bombs whenever, wherever, which is why we basically nicknamed that strategy the Michael Bay strategy.
Yeah.
Because we just, we want explosions all the time, every time.
And in your first playthrough, you might remember, oh, the black powder bomb, it only sets like 1 or 2 enemies on fire. Why does yours set on? Well, there's a skill you unlock super late in the game, or it's one of the last skills you can unlock that makes the fire chain. So if you hit one enemy with the fire, it will chain to another enemy close to him. So that's why we're able to set so many enemies on fire if we place the bombs quite well in a pack of enemies. And right here, yeah, we're meeting up with the rest of the Straw Hats. It turns out that they are struggling to get supplies, or more specifically food. So there's a lot of mutiny going on. They have lost a lot of men because, without food, it's hard to keep morale up. Typical, problem in ancient warfare. Because people will only fight as long as there's something in it for them. So right now, we basically have a strategy that if we want to recruit the Straw Hats to help us fight at Castle Shimura, we have to find some food for them. And the peasant we met doing the quest there basically told us that the Mongols stole his food and brought it to what is known as Fort Oriha, which is where we're going now, where they are supposedly hoarding a lot of food. So we'll go there and try to take over the fort and see if we can find some food. And this is probably one of the most hectic sections in all of Act 1 here, as you're about to see, because we're going to try to kill as many people, or Mongols, as fast as possible by just setting everyone on fire. And yeah.
It's cold in Sweden, okay? We just want to be warm, especially at this hour of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Josh, do you have a quick donation for us?
I believe your screen is frozen, but I will tell you... Yeah, I had a look a second ago. But I will tell you at prizes.esamarathon.com, I don't know if you guys have seen, but there are tons, and I mean literally tons of amazing prizes you can win. Anything from like plushies to mice mats, keyboards, headsets, CPU coolers, hard drives, for Lego. But the grand prizes, the 3 that I think are the most important for you to see and the best, are the ESA Watch Party 2023 poster. That's a minimum donation of $100. So as long as you donate $100 across the course of the entire event, you'll be put in the running for this prize at the end. And it's this amazing poster with like commissioned art of all of the like major games from the marathon. They're all sat in like a living room watching the stream. It looks really cool. I've seen it in person. It's amazing. But the 2 biggest, baddest prizes are the custom ESA Nintendo Switch and the custom ESA PlayStation 5, which are both $200. So not too many people are going to reach that $200 tier. So if you want to donate $200 across the entire event, you could be put in the running for those prizes, and you may well win. But if that's a bit too rich for your blood, there are so many smaller prizes that you could probably win. So yeah, get your donations in and hold on over to prizes.esamarathon.com. Thank you.
Not gonna lie, that PlayStation and Switch look so good, I kind of want them.
Ah. Unlucky with the Terrifies there.
Unlucky with the enemies in general.
So yeah, right here we did the first fight, which basically gained us the high ground over the Mongol, or the remaining Oriha fort here. Turns out there's no food up here, but and there's nothing down below here. It is on the boat, so we have to cause a distraction and then steal a boat to get out to the ships and hopefully find food there. So quickly another investigation to figure out where is the best place Ryu's men to cause a distraction, and then we'll see one of the biggest exploits you can do with one of the items in the game known as the smoke bomb. Coming right up here. It's more egregious later, so this is just a small taste of what you can do with it. But if you're gonna play this game casually, pay attention to this strat. It might help you out quite a lot if you struggle with stealth.
I think it was actually one of the first things that we found out about the game, and I'm really happy that the developers actually let it in the game, because if that wasn't the case, oh my god, we would have so many more problems doing some of the later quests specifically.
Yeah, so you'll notice here I'm supposed to stay stealthy so they don't spot me while I steal their boat, but they're gonna spot me. But with a smoke bomb, once you throw it down, all alerts go away immediately, and then you can take the boat. So literal ninja strats there, throw a smoke bomb, and then you are just gone.
And I guess you can kind of guess how that will impact the game a little bit later, once we get more into it and get into more bigger battles where we just have to, you know, use something to go on to the next scene in the quest.
Just imagine a battle where you don't have to kill enemies, you just have to get a door without being noticed, and I'm sure you can start to put 2 and 2 together as to how that works. So one of the biggest, I guess, exploits of some of the items in the game that is normally not that powerful, but used in the right way, it quickly becomes. Right here is the remaining boat section here, where we're fighting with Ryuzo on the boat. Once again, just gonna use a lot of fire here to hopefully get as many... Oh, unlucky arrow there. To hopefully get as many... Jesus, I got shot out in midair.
Yeah, it can be a little bit hard to go by all of these enemies.
Yeah, I was a little slow, so I think that's why they got me, but now it actually makes the other enemies line up perfectly, so it's totally fine.
Waiting for all of them to line up, and then throw a bomb in the midst.
Wait, who's alive?
And that should get rid of all of them.
Oh, yep.
But yeah, as you can see, you know, I think Elk was ahead of me for quite a while, and now since his one fight went a little bit sideways, that can just lose you a lot of time.
Yeah.
So it can be definitely a back and forth battle between us here, even though one of us is in the lead, even by a couple seconds or half a quest, something that doesn't mean anything until we are really at the end of the game. Because we can just get screwed over by the RNG in the fights at every single one of them. So here, you know, once again, we are trying to find food on these boats right here. We only found Mongols. However, we also found some battle plans. And as we will learn a little in just a moment here, these actually show the Mongol supply lines. So we give that to Ryuzo and his men, and they will, you know, be able to find food for themselves, hopefully.
Yeah.
In just a little bit. So basically, we have succeeded in recruiting the Straw Hats. Not quite yet, but, you know, we're getting.
Yeah. We're giving them the tools to work it out themselves, essentially. Which should be good enough.
I mean, they're grown-up men, right? They're
yeah.
I mean, not exactly samurai, but Ronin. You know, they know how to sword fight. They will totally fine. No.
Surely they can intersect the supply line.
I mean, how hard can that be, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, right here next up is Komatsu Forts, another kind of hectic split because it has like, I think 4 different sections to it that are all done kind of differently.
This is basically the game where the game introduces hostage situations to you, where the Mongols will take, you know, hostages throughout a section of the game, and then you have to go and rescue them. The Mongols actually don't care about their prisoners too much because they will try and kill them once they see you. And obviously Jin can have that, so if the Mongols actually do manage to kill one of the hostages, it's an instant game over for you. So you have to be a little bit sneaky and kill all the enemies before, you know, they spot you. Or at least try to protect that hostage. Although this guy is a trooper and doesn't even get it. See, this is exactly what we mean with the Terrify mechanic, right? Because I killed that one Mongol and have about a 90% chance that the other guy would just run away, but he did not do that.
You can see right here, you got Terrified on my end.
Yeah. And that is just what will save and lose us basically minutes over the course of the run, I want to say.
Should point out that one doesn't lose time because you wait for Yuna anyway, but yeah. But it's a good example to showcase it, I suppose. But yeah, we basically try to take out this place to basically make it as a little bit of a hub and safe place for, I guess, our forming a rebellion.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, towards the Mongols, but we're not going to be here for long in the speedrun because, well, most of the stuff is just...
We have places to be.
Yeah. Even though it kind of acts as a hub, when you just do the main quest, it's you're only here for like, I don't know, a brief moment.
5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
7. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, the shield.
Yeah. Twice.
Yeah. That's why I always just use regular and try to go for the headshot.
See, I had another very bad weather situation where I was blinded by the sun, so I didn't even see the shield at the start, so I thought it was the other guy.
Yeah.
Because that is also a thing, like, the game will always have the same amount of enemies with the same weapon types. However, it shuffles them around during the fight, so you are never quite clear which enemy you are facing or will face until you actually see them.
Yeah. It's random in certain places, and that's one of them.
So not only do we have to take up with, you know, the terrify mechanic, or its chance of happening, rather, but, you know, the order which you face the enemies can also vary, which does make slight differences in certain fights, where you, you know, want to take care of a certain enemy type as quickly as you can. However, if he just spawns way away from you, well, there's nothing you can do about that, is there? Other than, you know, try and hunt them down on the battlefield and then take care of them when you actually find them. Also, here we are leading these peasants back into the forge where it's supposed to be safe. You do not want to get spotted at all during these sections, because it would mean that you get locked into a fight that you cannot run away from, because, you know, these peasants will just get scared. And you will have to defeat all the enemies to be able to continue on.
Yeah, so that's why we take a little bit of an awkward path back to the forge, to avoid that from happening, because it just makes it a little easier, simpler. Then after this, we have our next fight where we have to meet up with Yuna to free some hostages, where we can do that a little bit stealthy by just hitting some nice arrow shots here.
As a fun fact, Yuna is down by the river, but you do not have to talk to her to advance the quest, so we completely ignore her.
Exactly. We don't have time for the optional stuff.
Like conversations and stuff.
I hate when I do that. Accidentally open the door instead of picking up something.
It happens because, you know, the R2 button is used for a lot of things. It is for pickups, it is for opening doors, it is for initiating conversations with people, it is for switching your weapon stances. It's used for a lot of things. Like, that button is like really overloaded. And a fun fact is, you also can't hold down the button to cue the input. Like, if you are standing in front of something that you then have to open, like, say, a door, and that trigger isn't there yet, you actually have to wait for that on-screen prompt to appear before you can press the button to actually open that. You can't just hold down the button and it will instantly trigger when it appears. No. We can't have that in this game.
Yeah.
But with all of that out of the way, we have one of the biggest fights so far coming up. So what will happen is we will have to now defend the forge, because we will actually light it, and because, you know, the smoke will rise out of the chimney, that will alert the Mongols to, oh, something is going on in that forge, let's send all of our forces there.
Yeah.
So this is basically a 4-phase fight. We want to start that off with immediately throwing a black powder bomb at the first charge of enemies. Just like that, to get rid of all of these. Then Yuna, because you are playing on lethal, Yuna is actually a pretty good secondary character, because she has a bow, and that just instantly kills enemies if she hits them, just like that up there. Then these two guys come up there, down there, which we try to kill them with our flaming sword. If I can actually go ahead and hit them, thank you. Terrifying the other enemies so they run away. Then we go into the forge, take care of the shield enemy. Then we will have to check if the second shield enemy ran away. Okay, that is good RNG. So the one spear guy outside will be here. We kill them. More archers will spawn to our left, which we get rid of with an explosive arrow. There are 2 of them. One of them should run away. Then we did that. We come back here, kill that archer, so the other guy could get terrified like that. More enemies will spawn in. We throw a bomb. That should get rid of these guys. And then the last wave comes in with 2 archers and a Mongol commander. Again, we want to use the blowgun to instantly kill the Mongol commander, poisoning him, hopefully terrifying the other archers so we can get rid of that fight, and we are done. So this is a pretty scripted fight. It should always go pretty well, I want to say, but you know, as you can probably tell with the terrify mechanic, this can go off the rails pretty quickly. And with that, I guess, Josh, if you want to plug something real quick, go ahead.
Yes, indeed. I have a $20 donation, not the one that you've seen on your screen, a new one which replaced the one on the screen, which made it look like it didn't fix itself, but it should do now. $20 donation from Frillhouse, who says, good luck to the runners, go fast, but more importantly, compete with honor.
About that.
About that.
This is actually a fun fact. This is actually the first time that two Ghost of Tsushima speedrunners meet in person, because we are scattered all around the globe. And obviously, as you can see, you know, the first best thing that comes to our mind is to eke out who is the top samurai on the leaderboards here, which actually may be a good time to talk a little bit about the speedrunning history of this game. Like I said before, I wasn't one of the first speedrunners of this. This actually goes to Remetsu and John Shepard. They did most, if not all, of the routing for the base game when we didn't have access to New Game Plus, you know, when that was a 7-hour speedrun. So they basically laid the groundwork for all of us to follow. I kind of joined like, I don't know, 1.5 months after that. I want to say, so about in September, October or so. The game released in August. No, it released in July, didn't it? Yeah, it released in July. So I joined somewhere in August or September, and you know, started running the 7-hour category on lethal difficulty, which I thought is, you know, the most fun to be had, because I just really like the high risk, high reward gameplay of lethal difficulty, where you can die in a single sword strike if you are not careful. Because if you're playing on the other difficulties, they more like follow your traditional difficulty setting with easy, normal, and hard. Where hard, the enemies are just very tanky and fights just take forever to get through. Lethal is just, you know, think of it as playing an RPG and every attack is a critical hit.
Yeah.
It's like the best thing to think about. It's not an instant death, it's just a critical hit, so to speak.
And that actually fun fact I want to point out about that is because lethal is more realistic in the way it works with the damage and stuff, and you kill things so fast. It is actually the fastest difficulty as well to play on. So even though easy is easier, it takes longer to kill enemies, and therefore it is a slower run. So lethal is the fastest difficulty in this game.
It also, you know, affects all the characters. So not only do you or the enemy's attacks deal more damage, also your allies are affected for it by, which is, you know, I just said that Yuna is basically the best NPC companion because she has a bow and her shots basically instantly kill or, you know, deal a lot of damage to
any
enemies.
ally that has a bow is just god tier in this. Sometimes, like we mentioned earlier, if they use a sword like Masako, shield enemies or spear enemies can be a little bit of a struggle for them, but other than that, it's usually quite helpful.
Yeah, they also tend to just circle around the enemies quite a lot, which, you know, is not that great. Because you can definitely see that later when we have more NPC allies, when we get to the bigger battles of the game, you can like see 8 of our guys circling a single Mongol, not attacking, and you're just sitting there like, why?
Yeah.
Just kill him so I can continue. Because obviously you do not want to kill all the enemies yourself. You want to leave your NPC companions to basically mop up the battlefield, and you just, you know, run on ahead, and you can't open the next door because you have to kill all the enemies, and you're just looking behind, and you see 10 of your guys circling a single Mongol, and it's like, just kill him!
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the Mongol just becomes like a protagonist of a 80s action movie where it's like attack one by one.
One by one.
It's just like they just stand around while one guy fights him.
And you're just, you know, sitting there weeping because your timer is running and nothing is happening.
And you're just like, why can you not kill me? Like, come on, guys.
So anyway, so I started speedrunning the game, and a little bit after that, thankfully, the New Game Plus got released by Sucker Punch. So now it wasn't a 7-hour speedrun anymore. It was actually a reasonable time. And the funny thing is, though, that, you know, at first, most of the people were thinking that, oh, yeah, you know, we just cut out the 2.5 hours of cutscenes out of our runs. So the 7-hour run will become a 5-hour-ish run, so to speak. However, I was like, yeah, no, guys. You know, it's New Game Plus. We are not just locked into our sword anymore. And the couple of scraps that we pick up, we are on New Game Plus, guys. We have all of our armor. We have all of the skills that we can use. So I started looking into it a little bit more, and basically the whole, you know, throw bombs and light everything up on fire thing is what I came up with. And it stuck to this day because, hey, terror is a pretty good weapon against your enemies.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
So
And that is what basically drastically changed how we approach the speedrun in New Game Plus.
I guess quickly to mention where we are in the story now. So Ryusu came back to us after trying to find food, and it turns out they couldn't get food, and a lot of them got captured by the Mongols. So now we have to go free them from this fort, where they apparently have been here singing last night, and that'll be a little important later, because let's just say it turns out the Mongols is actually specifically treating the Straw Hats quite well as prisoners compared to others.
Wonder why.
Wonder why.
Also, Taka gave us a nifty new tool, which will be the grappling hook, that we can now use, to grapple around these points. They are marked by these red and white stripes that you can see scattered throughout the old branches. It's actually pretty nice of somebody to do all that work for us, climbing all these branches and cliffs and whatnot to tie all these ropes to all these things. So we actually have a good indication of where to use that grappling hook. Very considerate.
Something I just thought about, a developer should actually make a video game where you play as an NPC that just goes around placing those markers before the protagonist comes along.
Just putting white paint on all the climbable ledges and whatnot.
It's just a climbing game and all that, or platforming game where you go around placing markers for a protagonist.
That would be amazing.
And then make the sequel where you play the game.
Don't make it a DLC.
Yeah. If you make it, I expect a check in the mail. Anyway, back to the action.
So yeah, we are now in Fort, what is it, Koyasan?
Yes.
Yeah. Freeing the Straw Hats. I guess by this point you can kind of see how this run goes. Us quickly killing the enemies, trying to terrify as many of them as we can with a bomb throw or similar technique, and then basically just looking around and doing cleanup duty.
Yeah. One thing you will notice in this fight, I think Ash is about to come up to it, in a lot of the fights coming forth, there will be some really strong enemies in like golden armor. And they are like basically the Mongol leaders, commanders, whatever. And when it comes to terrifying enemies, it's usually best to go for them. Since they have so much health, you can set them on fire and fight them first, take them out, and that will lead to more terrifies. So you'll start noticing us later in the run really focus in on the heavy guys.
Yeah, I mean, the Mongol commanders actually cannot get terrified.
Yeah,
so that is exactly the point. You do want to kill them, or you need to kill them. So it's just a good thing to set your sword on fire and then immediately go for them because it sets them on fire, and then you kill them. And a lot of people already have run away by that.
Yeah.
Also, this is my favorite bomb throw in the game, because we're gonna have some Mongol barbecue right there, right now. If you do this throw basically correctly or perfectly, it will instantly hit all of the enemies, terrifying them, and this fight is instantly over. However, I missed one or two of them, but still, I just love this bomb throw. It is so fun. But yeah, with that, we have now freed the Straw Hats, so they will hopefully join our clan.
Come on, guys. Thank you. But yeah, now that we have freed them, they should hopefully be on a debt. And yeah, like you said, join us at Castle Canada, or Canada, which is the next section we'll be going to, which is the end of Act 1, because now it's time to actually free Shimura.
Yes, finally we have gathered enough allies that we can actually try again to save our uncle. So we are actually coming up on the end of Act 1. Where, like Elkjaer said, Castle Canada is right here. Some people might mispronounce it as Canada, which is a little bit of an inside joke because also the voice actors for this game did that at the beginning.
Yeah.
So they actually had a Japanese linguist with them that trained them on actually pronouncing all the things right. Because even though they were, or a lot of the cast, not even all the cast, were Asian Americans, they don't necessarily know how to pronounce it themselves if they do not speak the language. So they had like this Japanese linguist with them. It's actually pretty neat because they actually really went out of their way to make this a kind of authentic experience with the pronunciation, with the culture and everything that ties into it, which is really great because it really paid off.
Because I guess we should point out for those who don't know, this game was made by Sucker Punch, which is a purely American, or mostly American studio out of Seattle, and So, like, not really a lot of Japanese experience, to my understanding from this, but basically just a love letter to Japanese history and all that. And, you know, they got very well acclaimed in Japan for this work. And I think a lot of people have even said best foreign-made game based on Japan history and all that.
They are actually now ambassadors for the island of Tsushima, which is just wild to think about.
Yeah, apparently the tourism on the island of Tsushima has exploded because of this game, because normally it gets a bit overlooked because it's fairly close to the popular Korean tourist island of Hehe, which is close by Tsushima as well. So, and I guess you can also mention that I believe it's Castle Canada that. Oh, sorry. Now that I've said it, it's hard to say it correctly.
It's hard to resist the urge to just call it.
But Castle Canada, I believe, is actually one of the real castles that are on Tsushima that you can go visit. I believe it's this one that is actually there, or some remnants of it.
I didn't actually know that.
And I guess another historical fact, we mentioned the invasion happened on Komodo Beach. And the first Mongol invasion of Japan started with invading on Komodo Beach. So that is historically accurate. So you can go see those kind of places.
Also, my second favorite bomb throw coming up in just a moment, because we see these guys going through that gate. We throw the bomb. Oh, throw the bomb. Okay. I messed it up. I messed up my second favorite bomb throw. Oh, damn it. So what actually was supposed to happen is you throw that bomb, you know, at the guys at the gate, and in the meantime just assassinate the guy that I had to fight because I messed up with the first bomb throw. Which is, you know, pretty nice strategy because, you know, obviously cool dudes don't look at explosions there.
I just failed this twice, somehow.
Are you getting spotted?
Yeah, and obviously when you get spotted, it switches to...
Yeah, because this is the stealth part of the mission there. What you have to do, if you get spotted, they will just, you know, sound the alarm and...
yeah, I get
well, you get spotted and it fails you the mission because obviously you would not have the manpower to go up against the whole castle at once. And they will probably also kill Lord Shimura because, you know, he's being held captive too.
Yeah, there we go. I don't know what happened on that attempt. It was kind of weird. I got spotted after killing the last enemy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's...
that sucks.
Since it's a marathon, that's never happened before. So, nice. Anyway, yeah, I guess I have some catch-up to do.
Oh, don't worry, it will happen. Because Fort Ito at the start of Act 2 tends to generally screw me over, so...
Oh yeah, that's actually a split I've gotten really good at. So...
no worries.
So
but like I said, you know, even
then.
though it may look like one of us is in the lead, until we are at the last mission or somewhere close to that, this is still a very open race.
Yeah.
Coming up, though, we have our first actual boss fight of the game, our first duel. And, yeah. Whoever would we fight? Oh, look, it's our friend Ryuzo, because the Straw Hats actually didn't show up to reinforce us. We just went there with our other allies. Because guess what? While they were imprisoned in Fort Koyasan, the Mongols actually fed them and, you know, gave them sake and all that good stuff because they recognized them as great warriors. So they were trying to recruit them to their cause. Because that is actually what the Mongols did. You know, they tried to recruit the people that they could to their cause and, you know, bolster their own ranks while obviously... weakening their enemies, which is us in that case.
I guess it's time for another historical fact. One of the reasons why the Mongols could conquer so much in such a short period of time was because they were really good at recruiting people from the areas they captured. Usually taking advantage of squabbles in the areas and recruiting people that were against the current leadership of that position to their side, and then, you know...
Yeah, but they're also really brutal to all the people that, you know, didn't join their side. So they were setting precedents. So either basically you join us or you will die in a very brutal manner. Thus, you know, making the, well, not so brave people or, you know, people who just want to live very enthusiastic to join their cause, I want to say.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what, you know, Oda Nobunaga did on mainland Japan during his unification or tried unification of the country.
Oh, there they are.
So we now unlock the Choji assassination, which basically means that you can now kill enemies through these doors. Obviously, you know, New Game Plus, once again, we already have that ability, but that is in the game where you would normally unlock. Oh my god, where did I throw that bomb?
Do you have a time for donation?
We are close to the end of this quest. Okay. After that, we can go.
Okie dokie.
Because we are about to save our uncle, finally, about 1 hour and 12 minutes or so after he got captured. We are finally here. And there he is, Lord Shimura, finally freed for our cause. And we now will face the last couple of enemies in the castle that still, you know, stand in our way at the northern gates. We will throw a bomb here and try to terrify as many enemies as possible. Sadly, the ones in the far back did not get terrified for me, so I had to go and clean that up. And then all of our allies will come in for one final fight. However, we will do all of that on our own by just throwing 2 bombs into that throng there, and that should basically end that quest for me. And that is the end of the first act of the game. 2 more to go. And while Elk catches up, Josh, go ahead.
All right, lovely. We have a $5 donation from Tainted Tali again, who says, on the topic of prizes, can we hear more about Aisha's Lucky Oni?
Where is that thing anyway? Like, can anybody in tech quickly go to the prize room or something and catch me that thing? Because it is lovely.
We also have a $20 donation from Cyrus, who says, hey Elk, sad I missed the Horizons run, but so happy you made it to ESA and are doing well. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for those donations. Keep them coming, and yeah, keep them putting towards the incentives. We are working towards so many cool things this morning.
Absolutely. It is the last 24 hours, or we are in the last 24 hours of ESA, so please, everybody, keep those donations coming. They are for a great cause, and, you know, they're also fun. You can definitely elevate all of our gameplay here, putting them towards it for all these different kind of things that we have put up for you, for your enjoyment. You know, prolong the marathon, making the runs more fun, or, you know, more difficult for us, more fun for you to watch, I would say. Like the Japanese voices that we got here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a while since I've played the game in Japanese, I gotta say, because the first time I played the game, you know, obviously it was, or it is, you know, it's Japanese game, so I obviously wanted to have the authentic experience with the Japanese voices. And then later on, I learned about Daisuke Tsuji and LT Kim and all the other American voice actors, and they did a phenomenal job with it. Like, holy damn, I was so impressed when I heard their interpretation of it, or their voices with it. And I actually was blessed enough to be able to reach out to them, and both Daisuke Tsuji, excuse me, the voice actor for Jin Sakai, our main character, and LT Kim, the voice actor for Noria, one of the main supporting characters that we'll meet in just a little bit here, commentated on one of my very first speedrun of this, which was a lot of fun. They are actually streamers themselves now, so if you go to Switch, my god, not to switch to Twitch, excuse me, kind of the same thing, not really. You can find Daisuke Tsuji under Dice, spelled like the, you know, sided thing that D&D players are so fond of. Dice K, just, you know, the letter, and then 2, like the number, and with the G at the end. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Actually, I think about it. Sorry. I am totally messing it up. It is so early in the morning. My brain is actually not functioning right, I suppose. So Dice K2G, and you will find her stream. Or you can go to LT Kim, which is, like I said, the character of Noria, is found at Olaf Sandwich on Twitch. They're actually streaming a lot of different things now. Obviously, they focus a lot on Ghost of Tsushima when it's released. But they're doing a lot of cool stuff there. So definitely, shout-outs to them. Give them a follow. Go watch the streams. Pretty funny guys.
Yeah. So now we are in Act 2, and obviously we're sending the Mongols a bit on a run, because now we have more or less control over the southern part of Tsushima. So they have went further north and taken over Castle Shimura, which is Mongol's castle, the main castle on the island. Because he, like we mentioned earlier, he's the Jito, the basically governor of the island. And so now the next goal is, of course, to take back Castle Shimura. And in order to do that, we have to obviously recruit even more people, which we're gonna do in two ways, or recruiting people we're gonna do in two ways, which is one of the objectives we'll be doing is try to send a message to the mainland that we have been conquered, and ask for help from the Shogun to send some men over here that can help us fight.
Because the Mongols have actually erected a sea barricade around the whole island that we can easily break through. So we have to find a sneaky way to send a message to the mainlands, because they actually have no idea what is happening on this island at the moment.
Yeah. No phones back then. And the other way is to recruit a rebellion that's actually been on the island, which is Yarikawa, which is basically a city or a group of a former samurai clan who rebelled against, I believe, Shimura's father.
Against himself.
Yeah, but originally against Shimura's father, I believe, because he does mention that his father took back Mitsurugi at one point from Yarikawa.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay. Apparently it's been quite longer than I remember.
But yeah, basically they have been rebelling against the samurai law on the island for quite a while. But since we're now facing a common enemy, we'll try to get them on our side.
Because obviously the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right?
Exactly.
That's just how that goes. But yeah, Fort Mitsurugi can be a little bit of a pain because of the enemy spawns, or rather, you know, where they spawn and how you can try and get rid of them. And again, you know, the terror mechanic, it's not foolproof. It can go wrong, and depending on which enemies you actually do get terrified and which don't, things around you can change quite a bit. Now, the one thing that you do have to do is you have to run to the other end of the fort where I am now, because you have to hit a story trigger here. There is no way around that. You can't just kill all the enemies at range and then, you know, finish the fight from there. You have to go here at least once. And then you actually have to go back to the entrance because a second wave of reinforcements is coming from outside.
Yeah, that's why it can be good to maybe ignore a few enemies back at the door, because you have to run back anyway. So either way, they might be terrified by the time you come back, or... Oh.
Oh god, I totally missed that, didn't I? Shorted my bomb there a little bit. Okay, but that should be... Okay, that was actually not too bad. Like, this is one of the quests that can just really lose you a lot of time, because, you know, not the enemies just don't get terrified. They will be all over this fort, and you have to try and track them down. And it just takes long, and you get sand, and it's a whole thing.
That's probably one of the reasons why I decided to get really good at it, was because it was just such annoying.
Yeah, for
because you play through all of Act 1, and then you can just throw at it, run away to like this, which is obviously no fun. So, been working on it a lot, and I feel like my strategies have gotten fairly good at this point for this place. And like as said here, you can see it on my end now. I blew up the bombs in the back, but you still have to get close and then try to use the, what's it called, the more... Oh, he's actually behind. What? Well, I was about to say I used kind of like the ability where you can spot enemies where they are. It didn't work out there because it doesn't help if they're behind you. But I still had a very clean section in fort there because only one guy was left. Even though he took a little second to find, just having one left is better than sometimes there can be like 4 I've experienced at one point.
So by end we now in Noria, the warrior monk, which will be basically Jin's best friend going forward. So say hello to Noria.
Yeah. And Noria, like, we did one mission for Ishikawa and Masako earlier, and Noria also has like a full-on storyline of a side quest. Sadly, we don't have to do any of them in in the main quest, because I think many people argue Noria has like the best storyline out of the side characters.
Such a great buddy, you know, that we do not need to do anything for him to be a trusting companion. So everybody say bye, Norio, because we will not see him again in the speedrun.
He shows up in the bigger battles, but you might only see him out of the... Yeah. He's just somewhere out there. You might notice them out of the corner of your eye every now and then.
So, interesting thing, this game actually got a multiplayer mode, the Legends mode patch, a little bit later. And what they did with the main game was you have these storytellers strewn throughout the island now, which also act as fast travel points. However, for some reason, this particular storyteller in Akashima Village that you just saw me fast travel to is already unlocked once you start Act 2, even though you haven't been to Akashima Village itself yet. So as soon as you see the screen message that Act 2 has started, he's already activated, so you can just go to the map menu and instantly fast travel to him, saving you the trip from the fort where we're just at to Fort Ito to Akashima Village, saving just a couple seconds, I want to say, maybe a minute even, because it is quite a longer ride.
Yeah, we save a lot there.
But once again, this wasn't there at the start of the game. It only came in once the Legends mode dropped, which actually is a standalone mode at this point. At the start, you would have to have a copy of Ghost of Tsushima, but now it's standalone. You can just go ahead and download it. I don't know if it costs anything, to be fair.
I'm not sure.
It might. But yeah, since it is a standalone, we have now also.
Times, so I think you do pay for it occasionally.
Maybe. But yeah, since it got a standalone version, we now separate the leaderboards between the main game and the Legends speedruns, because these are actually pretty popular compared to the main game, because they are kind of short missions that you can just go through. Like the speedruns of those take between 5 to 10 minutes. There are 9 different chapters that you can do. So a complete speedrun of all the chapters takes less than an hour if you're really good at it, which is pretty nice, because it definitely attracted a lot of new players into the game.
They've also been quite popular just speedrunning the individual chapters, and people have done a great job of optimizing those.
But they're even more random than the main game is. So if you get bad enemy spawns, you are just SOL. Like you just instantly restart. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to do that on a marathon, but if you are shooting for the top times on that, tough luck.
Yeah. So right now, we are going to head to Umugi Cove, which Az is almost at, I believe.
It's a little while longer, but yeah, I'm on.
Yeah, where we're going to meet up with a guy that, what's he called, Goro, who has a favor for Shimura, because Shimura decided not to kill him earlier, because he had tried to, I believe, smuggle Chinese silk into Japan, which is highly illegal. And would have cost him his life, but instead Shimura would rather have a favor from him because he's a very skilled sailor, and we are going to use that now because, again, we need to send a message to the mainland, so he's going to try to sail past the Mongol fleet and reach the mainland with the message. And if he does that, obviously he has paid his debt.
But of course, it won't be as easy as that. So, while he will do us a favor, we also have to do him one. So, I guess we are actually not that even anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're basically saving his life in a way. Again, spoilers. But yeah, this is Umugi Cove. It's basically, a hideout for smugglers and all those kinds of people. So, not the most trustworthy kind you want to be around. All these people just eyeing you very suspiciously.
Basically a place controlled by Ronin where samurai don't really have anything to do or say.
And this is Lady Sanjo. She runs the place, basically. We're having a little chat here, just telling her that, hey, we're all looking for this sailor dude. Can you tell us where he is? And wouldn't you guess it, we just passed him by down in the bar.
Yeah, and you can talk to him first, even if you know he's there. Typical video game stuff.
Yeah. So there he is. We're just having a drink. And a fun fact, if you want to make him go zoomies, you just crouch down. For whatever reason, he walks faster that way. Because I don't think we've talked about the jumping section yet, actually. Because you might have seen us do that already a lot during Act 1. But during these, I like to call them walkie-talkie sections. The sections where you are accompanied by an NPC and you're basically having a chat while walking somewhere. All of your speed, all of Jin's speed, is slowed down significantly in order to accommodate for them walking and having a chat. However, for some reason, you can still jump during these, and the speed of your jump is not slowed down. So what we do is we just constantly jump forwards because it is faster than walking. However, it doesn't work with Goro here, so we just crouch down with that instead, because crouch walking is still faster than having the normal walk here, because it isn't actually Jin's normal walk, it is like a conversation walk, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is basically the slowest form of movement in the whole game.
Yeah, they basically try to slow you down so much so you get all the dialogue.
Yeah.
But, you know, not working. No, I didn't get the cat spawn. Normally here at Lady Sanjo, occasionally a cat will spawn here.
Oh, kitty.
But it didn't spawn this time. No kitty in this run.
I mean, we already had a stray speedrun, so I guess the cat is
Yeah, but you know, cat people, they need to see their cats, otherwise they, you know. There are plenty of dogs in this game, but you don't get to see many cats unless you play the DLC. Then there's plenty of cats.
Sorry. But yeah, now that we have told Goro, hey, you know, about Shimura asks for his favor, he now goes back all the way to the eastern part of the island where Akashima village is. So we teleport or fast travel back there. And we tell Shimura, hey, you know, we talked to Goro. He is ready to sail for mainland Japan. So let's give him our message to the Shogun so we can get our reinforcements and actually expel the Mongols from our island and see what happens. And as it turns out, you know, we still have to break that sea barricade that the Mongols have erected. So that is what we are on the way to do now in Fort Mitodake.
Yeah, and I believe if you pay attention to the voice line that happens right before you go solo with Shimura, I believe that's when he says his father took the fort. So just wanted to point that out.
Okay, I guess I will have to pay a little bit more attention to that because you know, obviously we are speedrunners. We tend to drown out the dialogue after a while because we hear it so often.
Wait, you're not a lore expert?
To be fair, I was for the longest time, but I just haven't really played the main game in a while at this point. So I am starting to be a little bit fuzzy on the details. You know, obviously I know the overall story, but you know the minutiae, I want to say, the details, they're starting to kind of blend in together with other games at this point.
I just remember because it's the last thing he says before the screen fades to black.
I think, you know, now that you mention it, it's starting to come back to me a little bit.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that you see us do is, oh my god, I'm too fast. While you're having these walkie-talkie sections, you generally have a dialogue choice that you can make. It has absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever. It just gives you a little bit of flavor text. Generally, Elk will try to go for the X ones, while I should go for the circle ones, just so you have both of them.
Yeah.
You know, side by side in a single one. But I think I already messed up at least once, so sorry about that.
You can easily.
I will try to do better.
There's a few places where it doesn't matter which choice you pick, you just want to pick it as fast as possible to get the dialogue to end as soon as possible, but other than that, they don't really matter.
And now we are on our way to take Fort Mitodake. And as Shimura so bluntly puts it, you know, we're not gonna be silent about that. As soon as we see the enemies, we will engage, even though we are vastly outnumbered. However, you know, we have bombs. We can do this.
Because this is where we start seeing more of the play into the story of Jin battling with the samurai code, because obviously as a Jijo of the island, he has to follow the samurai code set by the shogun. And you know, there's a certain honor and a certain way you're supposed to fight. You're not allowed to be stealthy and do what is known as ninja tactics, because that is more for like thieves and you know, dishonorable people. Whereas the samurai way is to fight your enemy with honor. You look them in the eye, you know, face them directly and all that.
Okay, I didn't get the glitch. Where is Shimura?
Oh, he's really far, baby.
Dude has run a marathon. Can you come over here, dude, please?
So,
yeah. A fun fact about the terror mechanic, you may have seen these two Mongols, you know, closing the gates there to Fort Mitodake. However, since they are technically a part of the fight, they can get terrified as well. And what will happen if they do is that they will try to close the gate and then have a little shock moment, and that will reset the door. So they will, you know, the whole door will swing open again, and they will have to try and close it again. And they will just repeatedly do that because, you know, they are not supposed to fight you, but they can still get terrified, meaning you basically soft lock the game, and then you have to restart the checkpoint, and you are sad. Thankfully, it didn't happen for me, so fingers crossed it won't happen to Elk either, because you hate to see it.
It's been a while since I've gotten it.
And now we are on Fort Mitodake.
Oh, yeah. Don't do that.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
That's just the guy that didn't get terrified right next to me, and I was just like, could you please?
So in the inside of Midodake, our goal is basically just to get to that watcher on the high rise there. You do not have to fight any of the enemies. You can just run by all of them. However, there are a lot of these dogs inside of here, and they are little angry bastards. Like, I love dogs, but these little shitty ankle biters can go to hell for all I care.
Yeah, those chow chows are really annoying. Because they can just basically start following you, and you just have to constantly roll up the entire hill to not get, bit by them.
As you can see here, they are onto me. Get hit by the watcher, dude. Yeah, there you go. Ha! I love to hear their screams in the morning. Sorry.
Yeah.
Alright.
Like, I am definitely a dog person, but these chow chows in this game can really get to you sometimes.
They really can, because if they get to you, they will bite your arm and drag you down, and it's a solid time loss if they do, and there are just a lot of them in here. But we only have to kill these guys up here to secure the water. For some mysterious reason, Shimura is able to take care of all the fort by the rest by himself, and now we have to go ahead and clear a way for Goro, because, remember that Sea Brigade we talked about? Yeah, there are a lot of ships trying to intercept Goro and, make his life miserable and intercept that message for the Shogun. So we are now grabbing that watcher and just mercilessly shooting down each and every Mongol that tries to reach that boat that Goro is on over there. You can see it with the sail. So if even a single of the enemy boats reaches Goro, that's a game over for us. So obviously we do not want to see that. So while this is basically more or less of an auto-scroller, there are some set enemy spawns that will happen while we take care of that. And while we do that, Josh, do you have anything you want to tell us?
Yes, I would like to remind people that coming up in a few hours, we have this amazing incentive for Lunistus for the mirror race. So what they're going to do is that I believe Lord Mouse is going to play the game in completely mirrored. So his screen will be mirrored and his controls will be mirrored, and he'll be playing against MOD, who won't have it mirrored, and they're going to see who can win. If you want to see that, we're just under $500 away for that incentive. So we have $1,072 out of 1,500. So get your donations in, and we have a few other incentives open this morning, but I will tell you we have so many more incentives. So once we start meeting the ones we've got, we're going to get way more cool ones afterwards. So yeah, get your donations in, have a look at donations.esamarathon.com and see what you can donate for.
You can also win awesome prizes by doing that, like that Oni plushie that sadly isn't around at the moment. I kind of forgot to bring it earlier, but it is an awesome treat. Like, it was pretty funny to find that, and actually everybody around here wanted it. I just randomly grabbed it from the shelf at the mall, and people were just onto that.
I mean, that's a cute plushie.
It is. It is the cutest.
Everybody loves the Inaris in this game.
So, how are you doing over there? Okay, you're also in the auto-scroller.
Yep.
Perfect. So,
bombing away at the Mongol fleet.
So now that we have basically succeeded in delivering that message to the Shogun, obviously, it will take a couple days or whatever for that boat to get to the mainland and then get it delivered to the Shogun. Obviously, we don't have to wait for that in real time. That would just be ridiculous. But the next task that we have to do is recruit an army, because, like Elk said previously, there was a previous rebellion that Lord Shimura had suppressed on the island here, and they are not on good terms with Clan Shimura, like, at all. But the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so hopefully they'll actually join us in our cause to liberate Tsushima Island from the Mongol invaders. So we are now on our way to Yarikawa and see what these guys think of us and try to recruit them. Josh,
yep.
We are riding.
Okay,
do you have anything to say?
Oof, okay.
Caught him off guard there.
I mean, I have to keep him awake a little bit,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, if not a lot is happening, you're just, kind of dozing off at the donation. Not saying that you are.
No.
But, it is that time of day where none of us can be faulted, I guess, for being a little bit sleepy still, because I got up at, like, I don't know, 3 a.m. or something. ridiculous hour or that, having like 3 hours of sleep and then running a 3-hour game. So
You guys
after
got
this, we will go to breakfast.
Yeah.
And whoever wins gets like the bigger portion of the pancakes or something. I don't know.
Wait, did we agree on that? Hold up.
Yeah, I will tell you that I'm thinking about getting a cup of tea in a minute. So if I suddenly disappear, I'm getting a drink just to try to stay awake.
I do not fault you for that, absolutely.
Yeah, I've been up all night. The other incentives I mentioned, we have 2 other incentives. We have a Miss Chalice cosplay for the Cuphead run. So if you want to see Kerfa rock the look of Miss Chalice, get donations in for that. We also need 1,500, so it's just over $500 for that one. And yes, we have the big one at the moment is the Super Mario 64 70-star upgrade. So we'll get Christian to add 40 more stars to his non-stop 30-star randomizer run.
Jesus.
Yes, that'll be interesting. But yeah, we have obviously it's the last day. We have so many cool runs coming up. Have a look at the schedule, and they're all going to have some pretty exciting incentives. And you may notice along the bottom of the screen, we're currently working towards getting $100,000. We are just shy of $20,000 away from that. We'll see how much we can get. But the ultimate goal of this event is 1,350. Wait, one? No. More zeros.
We hit that a couple of
zeros,
days ago.
please. I mean,
More zeros.
Otherwise, would have smashed through that already by quite a margin there.
135,000. If we reach $135,000, we would have officially raised 1 million total across all ESA events, including all the historic ones. I know that donations.esamarathon.com, if you go there and look at all the donations, it says a different number. We weren't using this tracker for the first few years. We've done the maths. Trust me on this. It's $1 million if we get 135,000. So yeah, get all of your donations in. It's going to be one hell of a ride today to get to that total. So yeah, thank you.
Nice.
I'm getting tea.
Enjoy.
So this is another part which is pretty interesting because we are now sneaking into Yarikawa, right? The thing is, we cannot go through this waterfall cave thing here before we have finished this dialogue that all 3 of our characters are having here. However, once, and only once, the Wicked Viking, a previous runner of this game, found by accident a way to skip this second dialogue where Taka says he can't go on anymore. Then we have this whole conversation about Yuna and Taka's childhood, where they had the 2 samurai figures. But he doesn't really know how he did it. It just kind of happened by accident somehow. And we have been frantically trying to replicate this because it would save 5 to 10 seconds or something ridiculously small like that. But it would still be a time save. We want to get that time save. However, we have found no way to replicate that. And then it's driving some of us crazy because, it is possible. It is possible,
Yeah.
Elk. It's possible.
It's gotta be possible somehow.
Exactly. But yeah, this is Uchimasa. He is the head of quote-unquote clan
Yarikawa?
Yarikawa. Thank you. I'm blanking on all the names right now.
It's early, it's fine.
However, hatred runs deep in his family, so yeah, he's not too happy to see us, and less happy to know that we are the the nephew of Lord Shimura, making us part of the Shimura family by extension. So he just straight up, sends us away. However, what we hear here is because Taka is talking to some of the locals, because he was not quite the apprentice of the previous blacksmith, but a good friend of him when he was a kid, and we learned that some archers of Yarikawa have gone missing. So our thought process right now is, if we can help find those archers, surely they will help us in our cause. So let's try and see if we can find those guys. There's a quick fast travel outside of the gates of Yarikawa to that camp where we previously met Taka and Yuna before we got into Yarikawa. Because the next quest trigger is just up this hill, because apparently that is the area where those archers were last spotted. So let's see if we can go ahead and find them there.
And also the coward fight Ash is coming up to now, I would argue is probably the one that has the most randomness to it.
Yes.
Because of the spawns are very dependent on where exactly you are, and also which enemies are still alive. Because they spawn in like 4 waves or something like that. 3 or 4.
I think so,
Yeah.
something like that, yeah.
And so it depends on which enemies are still alive, and also exactly where you're standing is going to determine where they spawn. So
Yeah.
it quickly can just become chaotic like that.
I think that
It's a very fast fight, but how long it takes varies a lot, which is the annoying part.
one of the problems that fight in particular is also that it's a very open plane, so the enemies can basically spawn in from wherever, depending on where you are. And obviously the game tries to be coy about that and only spawn in enemies from places that you can't see at the moment, which, you know, in an open plane isn't a lot. So it can be really a goose chase to try and pinpoint where they are, and it can lose you a lot of time. In order to find the last couple of enemies that probably didn't get terrified somewhere around that field. Also, there are like 3 commanders that you get rid of. The commanders actually can never get terrified. You absolutely do have to fight them, and generally your AI companions make a terrible job of engaging these guys. So you do want to try and focus on the Mongol commanders while your allies kind of take care of the other guys. Obviously, you still throw bombs and all that good stuff. But you are kind of trying to focus down the commanders if you can. Also, we are about to meet Scorpion here. So, shout outs to Mortal Kombat. Oh, wrong outfit. Sadly, for this part, we are not playing on the English language tag. Otherwise, you would get that joke in just a moment. But still, enjoy. Get over here! Obviously, with the voice track, it would be better, but I just find that funny every time I hear that, and I have to make
sure it sounds similar if you play Mortal Kombat in Japanese.
Right?
I assume so. I mean, I don't know. I don't play fighting games.
I mean, that get over here is kind of popular, I would say, when it comes to video games. Okay, we are now about to free the archers. We're doing that by shooting one of these bells. It doesn't matter which one. It will just alert these enemies a little bit quicker so we can bomb throw them once again. Thankfully, our archer friends are totally immune to the bombs that we're throwing. And oh my god, I'm just getting body blocked by these guys. Also, it is kind of hard for me, not gonna lie, to differentiate between friend or foe because all of them are wearing blue outfits. So, yeah. I was just stabbing a couple of people who were already lying on the ground, so I'm just gonna go up here and take care of the reinforcements. So we will see how that goes. Okay, a couple of people getting terrified here. You are down. Where is the rest? Okay, they're coming from all the way back there, which is where you do not want to see them because it is so far away from the rest. Guys are running. So thankfully, you can just go into this listen mode and kind of see the outlines of the enemies, so you can kind of tell where they are. Okay, they killed that guy. And of course, the last couple of enemies are all the way back there because they did not get terrified. I hate you.
Yeah,
oh my god.
Also, when you kill them in a certain way, and I think it kind of happened to you there, the last 2 commanders just spawn super late compared to everybody else.
So, yeah, that wasn't a great fight.
Nope.
Not at all. Lost a good chunk of time right there, right now.
But let's see if I can have a good one so we can get back to having a, exciting race.
I mean, you're catching up slowly, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like I'm making
my bad luck will kick in sooner or later.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I have already had enough bad luck for 3 runs, I think. Luck has not been on my side this run. I've been trying not to mention it too much, but it's my patience is fading.
Ooh, that bad?
It's early in the morning, man.
Normally I wouldn't have to do that menu, but since my Way of the Flame, the sub-weapon, it's when you light your sword on fire, it is a sub-weapon that is called Way of the Flame. I kind of tried to use it 3 times, but I always got knocked out of it, so I just lost a lot of that particular sub-weapon, so I just stocked up on it just a little bit, just to be safe. Because coming up is the Ghost of Yarikawa quest, which is the finale of this particular quest line. And it is probably the one quest where a lot of players started to fall in love with this game. Because it is just awesome, because now we actually get to defend Yarikawa from the invaders. We found the archers. Ujimasa just does shit all and just, hunkers back in his fortress because he thinks that, the Mongols would never attack us. They will just lose interest and leave. But no, they do not. They will come for us now. So it is up to Jin to basically defend the city against them. and rally the people of Yarikawa to fight for his cause, or fight with him to save their lives, basically.
Yeah.
And we do that by shooting 3 explosive arrows at the enemies coming through this gate. This should take care of all of them. And once that is done, we go to the other gate. Throw 3 black powder bombs. Where is everybody? What are you doing back there? They just opened the gate and just scrambled away. Huh?
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think it's because a guy from the other gate might still be on fire and then they get slightly turned.
I guess so.
I don't know. I'm just guessing as well. It's like, I don't know. Enemies.
Anyway,
oh, yeah,
3 explosive arrows, 3 black powder bombs, and then the Mongols have had enough and just run away.
Yeah.
So, however, they still have siege equipments, like these trebuchets up there on the cliffside. And we are now supposed to just, walk through this whole camp full of Mongols and disable these. And however would we do that? If only we had something to obscure ourselves. Because you cannot actually destroy these things while there are enemies around you. However, once again, smoke bombs take you out of combat. So we just drop a smoke bomb here, and then we are free to disable. Hello there. That guy was ready for me. Jesus. Drop another smoke bomb here, disable the second trebuchet, and these guys just have no idea what just hit them. So, yeah. They're just standing around there. They have no idea what happened, why the trebuchets are not firing anymore. However, we still haven't broken the siege quite yet, because we still have a lot of Mongols in the actual city of Yarikawa, because while we were out fighting there, they breached the gates and are now rampaging through the city. So we are quick to make our... Oh, that's wonderful. To get back into the city and... yeah, see that Yarikawa doesn't get overrun by the Mongols. Because, we need these people. We need our army to fight back against the Mongol invasion. So once again, we are not allowed to go through this gate until the conversation has stopped, or as long as we are in combat. So we drop another smoke bomb here, take the time to switch our armor, and then hopefully this conversation will be over really quickly, like that. And then we can just leave all the Mongols behind. And we get ready for our next boss fight, which will be against this guy. General Temuge, he is the leader of the siege of Yarikawa. And once again, we will employ the Dance of Wrath. The Dance of Wrath is a special ability that you can use by pressing L1 and R1 at the same time. We actually do have to do a Mystic quest, or Mystic Tale as they are called, in order to unlock this during the second act, so you wouldn't have that from the start. It uses 3 of your resolve in the lower left corner there, and it gives you 3 very powerful strikes, which basically allow us to finish all the duels / boss fights in a very short amount of time. Which, to be fair, makes the boss fights pretty anticlimactic in a way, because that is basically all we're gonna use, because it's fast, obviously, instead of having to do the fights. But it kind of skips out on my favorite part of the game, because these duels are just awesome if you do them the intended way, where you have like this prolonged boss fight or sword fight against your opponents. So I'm really sad that this is actually the way how we handle this, but it is what it is.
It is the fastest way of doing it, and
that's a conga line. Hey guys.
It's one of the reasons why I feel like it's a shame we can't really do proper new game runs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, it would be a dream for all of us if the cutscenes would be skippable on the new game run of this, so we would have the I don't want to know what to call it, the authentic experience.
Yeah.
Like having a lot more sword fighting, let's just say that, instead of, just running around and throwing bombs and explosive arrows and, the way of the flame with a flaming sword and all that stuff, but have actual sword fights, because melee combat in this game is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, speedrunners, like, obviously we like the cutscenes, otherwise we wouldn't have fallen in love with the game to begin with. But when you speedrun something and you have to play through it multiple times, you just, you don't really want to see them every time, and also it just completely kills the momentum of the run, more than any long ride from A to B would ever do.
I mean, on the flip side, if you do have unskippable cutscenes, especially in the long run at least, you get a pee break every now and again, because in the 7-hour speedrun you might want to use the bathroom at one point or another. But again, the game overdoes it a little bit with those, I want to say, because there are like 2.5 hours of cutscenes in the main quest alone.
Also,
so you get a lot of breaks during the game run on this.
yeah, also another thing is also we don't really have a full completion category or anything like that because again, yet. Some people have tried to make it a thing, and it's not happened yet. And it's mainly because obviously full completion categories are best when you start from 0, and it doesn't really, in my opinion, I don't like when it's done in New Game Plus when you already have like half of the stuff. Yeah, so there definitely would have been a full completion proper category by now had it not been for the cutscenes.
It also will be pretty long, I guess, to cover everything. But you know, you don't have to have seen the cutscene on a previous one to be able to skip it on New Game Plus. You can just outright skip all of them once on New Game Plus.
Yeah.
So obviously, the fastest way to do a platinum % run or a full completion run of the game would be to do a complete playthrough of the game, get into New Game Plus, and then do the whole cleanup because you can skip all the cutscenes. Even though you would have to run through the whole main story a second time.
It would still be faster.
It would still save time in the end because you can skip all the other cutscenes of all the side quests and stuff.
And that's the main reason why I don't personally want to do it, because it's like, I mean, it should just be one playthrough, but you know, it is what it is. And I guess quickly here before I guess we send it over to some messages from Joss. Right now, we obviously recruited the Arikawa rebellion on our side now to fight the Mongols. But now we headed back home to Jin's home, which is Omi village, because it's time we return home and reclaim the armor that, well, it's New Game Plus, so we're already wearing it.
Like exactly in this moment.
Yeah,
both
and
of us.
basically become probably Lord Sakai, I guess. Because,
Family representation. Woo!
yeah.
Yeah, like something tragic happened with Jin's father. Like spoilers, he died, and Jin has been traumatized with that, which is why he never wore the official armor of his clan. He never like really represented his clan by wearing that armor. And Lord Shimura is like, no, you have to face your past. You have to go back there. You have to get that armor and properly represent Clan Sakai in the fight against the Mongols here.
Yeah. And cool thing about that, I guess, is the DLC really dives deeper into Jin's relationship with his father and how that all played out. But enough talking for now, because we have a lot of downtime coming up. So, Josh, please take it away.
All right, in that case, I'd like to take some time to tell you about the amazing charity that we're raising money for. It's Alzheimerfonden, which is the Swedish Alzheimer Foundation, who are helping raise money for Alzheimer research that goes directly to scientists. And while it's not certain what causes Alzheimer's, but plaques that are disturbing, I can read at 6 a.m., disturbing the neurons and their signal pathways are the prime suspects. Upcoming drug treatments hopefully can eliminate the plaque and slow down the progression of disease. Yeah, I've seen a lot of really interesting research that they're working on that's all about the idea that this plaque is like what gets formed up on the brain and is what's causing Alzheimer's and dementia and all those related diseases. So yeah, they're doing some amazing research. Alzheimerfonden is all about distributing money directly to the scientists. They get the scientists to appeal to them for the funding for their research. And I believe... Oh, why do I always do this. I set myself up to say a stat that I haven't prepared. There it is. 19%. Last year, they could only fund 19% of the money that was requested of them by scientists. So every bit of money we can give them to increase that percentage, just even a tiny bit, would be absolutely amazing. So yeah, please, I'm sure we've all had someone we love affected by Alzheimer and similar dementia diseases. So if we can get all of our donations in for that amazing cause and try to reach the lofty goals of 100 and 135k and all that today, that'd be amazing. Is that enough stalling? Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes, thank you.
I guess we can play a little into the things you just talked about, because now we're meeting up with Yuriko, who is the housekeeper of
Clan Sakai.
Clan Sakai here, who has been taking care of the place while, Jen
She's old.
She's old. And when you play through his story, and you'll also see it here a little bit in the main quest, where she is getting old and she's slowly losing her memory and keeps mistaking Jin for his father, Katsumasa Sakai. So, yeah.
A pretty good tie-in, yeah.
Yeah. And, it's, when you finish her story, it's like, it really hits you hard. Because, I don't know, should I spoil it?
I mean, spoilers, she has dementia.
Yeah.
She mistakes you for your father, and at the end, she dies.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just a very beautiful story. Even though it's only like, I believe, 3 quests you play through with her, it just, I don't know, it just does a lot for
You
the
know,
game.
now that I think
Really
about it,
gets
we
the
should
notion.
make that a donation incentive, for this course specifically, just because that we played through that particular quest line, because it's not that long, actually.
Yeah, actually,
And-
they are
and
quite
show-
long. I
show
played
that
through them recently. Because it's a long follow mission where it's just dialogue. But obviously, yeah, it gets sadder and sadder because you can just tell she's getting worse and yeah, eventually just passes away.
The great thing about it is also the way that they portray it, because Jin is absolutely accepting of what is happening. He's not trying to fight it. He's just trying to, quote unquote, play along with what Yuriko is saying. He's not ever contradicting her or fighting against that reality. He's very supportive of her condition.
It's done super well in the game if you haven't seen it.
Yes.
Even if you're not gonna play the game, I almost want to encourage you, just look up the Yuriko quest of Ghost of Tsushima.
Absolutely.
Because it's just executed perfectly, I would say.
Yeah, that sounds. They got all the historical accuracy and the regional accuracy there. That sounds like they got that right as well.
Yep.
Because I had a similar experience with my nan, who would always mistake me for my father because he also had similar hair when I was younger. Yeah. And it was just like you can't argue with them. You just have to kind of go along
Yep.
with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not nice. Get your donations in.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like all the things that they touch on this game in particular, not only are they well done, but they are also, really heart-wrenching in the way. Like, this is a very mature story, and they're not trying to sugarcoat it at any point, so to speak. I mean, there are moments of levity, thrown in, especially when Kenji is on the screen anywhere.
Yeah, Kenji
he's
is
like the
comedic
comedic relief
yeah.
of the whole thing. But otherwise, this is a story that hits really hard.
And you could say each side character kind of deals with a certain, I don't know, I forgot what the word is for it, but like Yuriko kind of deals with the sad nature of somebody getting old, and Sensei Ishikawa is about, I guess, forgiveness in a way and different viewpoints. Masako is about, I guess, the hunger for revenge and, I guess
Family misunderstandings.
family
in a
and
way.
the purpose in life of one's family.
And not being recognized, I guess,
Yeah.
from your family for things that you've done and things like that.
Yeah, and Norio deals with like living up to like your, I guess, sibling who is doing better than you, and I'm sure if you are not the oldest child in the family, I know this for myself. You can kind of relate to like your older brother being the one that does everything first and makes it seem like he's way better than you. Norio's story deals with that. So, and again, everything just feels like it's done so well.
So here we have Yuriko again, basically talking to quote unquote Jin's, talking to Jin's father, who has already passed already.
Yeah.
And she has, it's not that is always the case. She has moments where she is just very clear in her head, so to speak, and knows what's happening around her. But then again, she just falls back. Like when we grabbed the armor, right, and we fought these 3 Ronin outside of the house that attacked us, where I threw it on the smoke bomb and just assassinated them. I guess you did the same. When you came back to her, she was all frightened and was like, "Oh, is Yarikawa attacking us again?"
Yeah.
And as we established earlier, that rebellion was like years ago, decades ago.
Yeah.
But she just goes back into that thought, into that scenario.
Yeah, I think she also, in one of the later quests in her storyline, calls the Mongol, like, Yarikawa rebellions. Where she, like, doesn't even realize they are Mongol invaders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, done really well. And, by the way, the reason why we're even here is also another thing. Like, Jin kind of realizes at this point that doing it the samurai way, it's not good enough. If you want to beat the Mongols, you gotta beat them at their own game. And he knows that Yuriko uses poison to get rid of rats from getting into the food rations. But he wants to get that poison, make it stronger enough to essentially kill the Mongols and use that in battle. And that is obviously,
Against everything the samurai stand for.
yeah. Like, at this point, Jin is just, like, done with it. He's like, we need to defeat these Mongols no matter what it takes, because he sees people dying everywhere, and, he'd rather, make sure less people die by finishing the war as soon as possible, instead of dragging it out by doing it quote unquote the right way. So.
Now this also ties back into the tutorial that we didn't play because we are on New Game Plus, where at one point Shimura asked, like his uncle asked Jin, what honor is to him. And I can't get the quote again because it's been so long since I've done that mission.
Yeah.
But basically, what honor is for Jin is, helping people, like elevating them, keeping them safe, and he will do everything for that goal.
Yeah.
Like, the codes and tribulations or whatever of the samurai be damned, he wants to save his people no matter what, and that is why he will go to extreme measures to ensure victory over the Mongol forces.
Yeah, and he starts more and more seeing the shogun law for what it is. Like, it's just basically all political about, keeping control over the people and make them see the samurais as something larger than they actually are.
But yeah, so actually at the start of the second act, you had to you were able to freely choose between doing Fort Mitodake, Yarikawa, and this quest in any order you wanted to. We're doing them in the order we did because, as far as we can tell, it is the fastest order to do them in. From this point onward, you are a little bit on a quote-unquote on-rails section when it comes to the quests themselves, as you have to play them in the order we do.
Yeah, Act 1 and Act 2 is gives you a lot of options, whereas like you can do anything in any order you want, but once you get to here towards the end of Act 2, the entire main quest is just fully linear from that point on. From the point Ash is at now, where the next thing he's doing is reckoning in blood.
And this is another heart-wrenching quest for a wholly different reason. Not gonna spoil it just yet, we'll see it in just a moment, but basically we've learned now that Ryuzo and the Straw Hats are holed up in a fort near Lord Shimura's camp, where we are trying to stage our attack on Castle Shimura, which is, the main stronghold on the island, and the place, Lord Shimura basically governs the island from. And it's, at the moment, the Mongol, main base of operations, so we do try and want to take that back for us. However, Ryuzo and the Straw Hats are in Fort Koyasan and poised to strike at our flanks should we attack Castle Shimura. So, Jin is like, oh yeah, I have, open business with Ryuzo, so let's try and settle that before we retake Castle Shimura, because we retake
And
Castle.
it's also the quest where we mentioned earlier that Taga, even though he is known for being a little bit of a coward and afraid all the time, this is the quest where he does arguably the most brave thing anyone does in the game. Which is, you'll see Ash here in a sec. He's gonna try to break into, the fort.
It's actually pretty funny if you think about it, how we do it, but it is what it is.
And Taga shows up to help him because he wants to be more than a blacksmith at this point. He wants to be part of this fight to free the Mongols. And obviously, Jin, it turns out to be a trap that Ryuzo has set for Jin. So he gets trapped, and then Taga actually tries to free him. And it doesn't go well, but obviously breaking into a Mongol fort all by yourself to try to free your friend is very noble when you don't have any skills in the first
Before you
place.
do that, Taka is trying to do a diversion here. We lures out all the Mongols out of the fort, so they chase him. As speedrunners, we don't care about that. We just walk straight into that fort while all these guys are running around us.
This is the most egregious use of the smoke bomb that's about to come up.
Because all we have to do is actually get through those doors back there. And, we can't do that while we are in combat, but luckily we have smoke bombs. So we just drop one and we go through here. And since the game does not expect you to do that, because, you are supposed to take care of the rest of the Mongols in that fort, we will now have a little audio glitch going on for the rest of that quest, where you can continuously hear the Mongols scream at us, because I guess they're not really despawned in a way. So if you hear random Mongol shouting, yeah, just like that.
And also remember what I told you earlier, it's R2 to pay respect. You're going to want to type that in chat in about 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't end well for Taga.
Yeah, no, he's a bit of a... Yeah, just look at that.
Yeah, he lost his head. So, yeah. he did a brave thing. He helped Jin out, but it costed him
paid with his
everything.
life.
Yeah. And obviously now Jin is just pissed and wants to kill anyone who is here.
I mean, he does so very well, actually.
Yeah, but unfortunately, the worst thing that probably could happen at that moment is Yuna is about to show up, Saga's sister,
And
who has
she's
spent her
not-
entire life protecting him.
She is not too happy about that outcome, we can tell you that.
Yeah. Especially because, like, the story Yuna has had, I guess we haven't covered that, is she is, due to everything that's happened in her life, not to go into detail with it, she wants to just leave Tsushima and go to the mainland, start a new life. And that was her plan the entire time.
She was about to,
Yeah.
she and Taka were about to leave for the mainland because they showed Shimura that they are, worthy of getting that escort. And, no, Taka wanted to help Jin one last time, and it cost him his life.
Yeah. And then Yuna is like, you know what? This fight is bigger than that. And she stays with us and does the rest of the fighting for the rest of the game. Or remains an ally instead of leaving.
I mean, this also ties a little bit into the romance of the game going on, because, obviously, we have a bit of a love story here, but it is very muted. There are no outright showers of affection between Jin and Yuna, because obviously, they have a little bit of attraction going on. But it is never spelled outright. Like, if you were listening to the dialogue before we started this mission, like when we were still in Lord Shimura's camp, when we talked to Yuna before we left, there was a little dialogue between Taka and Yuna, where Taka asks Yuna what she is leaving behind when she's leaving the island, and she's saying like more than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And if you tie that together with everything that has happened between Jin and Yuna up to that point, you can kind of start making the connection that there is something going on there between the two, and with the other stuff that is happening between them as well. But there are never any kisses or them saying to each other that they love each other or whatever. Yeah, it is just these little things, like little touches, because obviously they are in for the fight of their life. They don't exactly have time for big romantic whatevers right now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very mature thing to have happen. That it is not outright spelled to you, because that is not exactly how the real world functions.
If you go to one of the Osens or hot springs, I believe there's one of the dialogue options where Jin talks about Yuna. But I believe there is, where it also plays a little bit into it.
But yeah, we have reclaimed the armor of our family. We have given a message to the Shogun, and actually the samurai from the mainland are here now. And we have recruited the rebels of Yarikawa. Also, just look at these samurai, Can you see the color scheme these guys are having? The white, the orange, and the purple. Does that remind anybody of anything else around you? Like, I don't know.
Oh, isn't that the official ESA colors?
Ha! How could it be? It's the E Samurai. Get it?
Yeah.
Because Samurai starts with S and A.
Yeah.
So it's the E Samurai, the ESA. Get it? Okay. I forgot my hoodie that has these colors from ESA.
What is happening in my run, dude?
What are you doing?
They just spawned behind me again.
I actually had that happen during practice, I think. Which is really weird. Yeah. I saw that for the first time then as well.
I've seen like 10 things in this run I've never seen before at this point.
See, that's the good thing, or the nice thing about running this game. Even after speedrunning for 2 years, you can still see new things that totally screw you over, that you never want to see again.
Like, one of my plans once I'm done here at ESA is definitely to, just kind of go through the game.
What was that?
Oh, now it's happening to you. Good.
I just exploded out of thin air.
Ah, yes. Spontaneous combustion. It happens.
Apparently.
Where were we? But yeah, one of the plans I want to do once we're past ESA is definitely dedicate a lot of effort into try to optimize things as much as possible for this game, because there's definitely still a ton of things to possibly explore with it. Out of the way, dude. Yeah. But yeah, my run has not, it's definitely not been pretty, let's be honest here. But it's marathon luck or whatever, that's gonna be my excuse.
It's a good excuse. Not a good excuse, sorry, it's a good reason.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah,
at my end, you can, see these two guys who are trying to close this gate right there. They got scared, which is why they, went back, to the inside there. And you actually have to wait for them to close that door before you can actually start attacking them, which is just ludicrous to me, but hey, it is what it is. So that was definitely some time loss there on my end.
But oh well, I mean, the good thing is also there's a lot of run left, so I still have time to just recover as much as possible.
God.
Let me just have like the best end game of all time, hopefully.
And we still have a lot of big fights coming up because we are ramping up, in the story, in the climactic battles that we're gonna have. This is the fight for Castle Shimura, the main stronghold of the Mongol army on the island at the moment. And this is like this big climactic fight, where the Shogun forces, us and the Mongols clash. And it's a lot of different fights going on. It is basically making a way to Khotun Khan, the leader of the Mongol invaders on the island, trying to, get rid of him. Because obviously, if you behead the snake, it will die.
Yeah. There's also one of the cutscenes at Castle Shimura where Jin uses the poison in front of Lord Oga and Shimura, and they, start questioning like his methods.
Yes. That happened just a short while ago on my end. Obviously, we skipped that cutscene. But yeah, at this point, the samurai are heavily starting to question Jin's methods. However, since we are in the middle of the battle, they're not making a huge deal out of it because that would just be ridiculous. So they're just pressing on. But we will need to have words with Lord Shimura in particular once this has been resolved right here, right now. Yeah, still no range. Hello. Can you die, please? There you go.
Beautiful start there. Half the enemies are not spawned in. I am confused again. And I'm constantly... Oh yeah, just spawn them in behind me. Why wouldn't you?
Sounds like you're having a heck of a run over there.
Yeah, that's... I don't even know at this point, dude. It was like a blind speedrun with everything that's going on. All my strategies are just failing, and I died. It's great, fantastic work. Perfect concept. Anyway, time to recover.
Yeah, man, we are pushing towards the end of the castle right here. This is the last area where we have to kill all the Mongols. For some reason, I'm also missing some enemies over here. So, hello. Who are you? Oh, there they are. We're just getting rid of these. And this is a very focal point in the story. I hate Shimura. Okay, there we go. So we will now climb up this ladder to shoot down on this bridge. And basically our forces will rush through this gate there to get to the other side of the bridge where the Mongols are retreating. However, what the Mongols will do is they will send out horses with explosive barrels and light them on fire. And that basically destroys the bridge, and half of our forces gathered on the bridge. So we just suffered massive casualties. And we are basically in no fights, in no shape to continue the fight, so to speak. And that is where Jin goes off on a mission on his own because he gets a last gift from Taka to him, which Yuna had all this time, which is the ghost armor, which we've been wearing for most of the game. And our noble samurai has now officially become a ninja because he will single-handedly infiltrate the castle keep of Castle Shimura, and try to take out the rest of the Mongols all by himself. Because, as we will see in just a moment here, if we were to follow our uncle's plans, because he just wants to repair the bridge no matter what and just keep on storming headlong into the enemy forces here, it would just result in a massacre on our side. So, yeah, that wouldn't be good. So, Jin goes at it alone. And we'll try to find a way to, single-handedly fight up all the Mongols. In order to do that, we will just infiltrate the castle here. We will silently, because this is another stealth mission, take out all these enemies. If we get spotted, this is the game over. However, we do not need to wear the Mongol commander's armor because There are actually not that many enemies around here. It's a rather small mission, at least for now. So we just wait for these guys to come in. Headshot. Go up to the top because we have to kill all the enemies in this tower in order to advance. Leave. Okay. And then we'll have a look around and, you know, see what we're actually up against because we have now infiltrated the castle. Or, you know, the latter half of the castle here. And we need to find a way. And hey, look at that! There's a Straw Hat. It's Ryuza. He's here too. And this is now the plan. You know, this is where you find out what we need to do. They have their Iraq, the fermented milk that the Mongols like to drink, but we have our poison. So we will try to make our way over there and just poison all the Mongols in one fell swoop. And, you know, save us a massive. Still want to be a little bit careful while sneaking through these guys, even though we have the Mongol commander armor equipped here. Just sneakily go through here, and I will actually go ahead and do a checkpoint reload. Because I have noticed that for some reason, if you do not do that, sometimes the game will just randomly game over you because of apparently you've been spotted from somewhere. God knows where, but you will be. And I will just make my way over to the fermented milk and poison it. Now, obviously, I can't do that while I am being spotted. So once again, we'll make use of the smoke bomb, wait for the conversation to end, please. And then we will poison the Iraq and, you know, wait it out.
Yeah, so this is like the most egregious, like, crime, I guess you could say, Jin commits, which is basically just poisoning the entire enemy army, and obviously that's the final straw for the other samurai. And, what's it called? Shimura obviously cares a lot for Jin, so he kind of wants to just play it off and blame Juna for everything, but Jin ain't having that. So he takes full blame and, you know, tells Juna to basically take off, and that obviously means Jin's gonna get captured. Gonna get captured here in a sec for Ash. Oh.
Yeah, this is like very where the game turns itself on its head because, you know, Shimura and Jin, they've been really close. Like, Lord Shimura has basically been raising Jin for all of his life. And before we start this quest, Shimura has actually officially requested permission from the Shogun to make Jin his official son.
Yeah,
like he wanted to adopt Jin.
Yeah.
And they was like, Jin is totally okay with that. You know, he loves his uncle, but they wanted to postpone it until after the island had been freed. But since Jin has now done this, he is now no longer a samurai, so to speak. You know, he has broken the code, and you know his uncle is heartbroken about his decision, but there is nothing that he can do about it because you know he is trapped by politics, by the situation, by everything. And that is why Jin now is branded as a traitor. We are now not in league with the samurai and everybody anymore. We are on our own. We are a fugitive, so to speak. We still have our allies, you know, like Kenji and, you know, Sensei Ishikawa. They are still fighting for us, which is why Kenji frees us here. But we are now entrapped in Castle Shimura. You know, we just freed this place, but we are now a captive in our own home, so to speak, because this is where Jin grew up. You know, because after, again, his father died, he hasn't been living in Omi village for a long time. He has been here, being raised by Lord Shimura in his castle.
Yeah. And obviously, a lot of people have now rallied in the north to fight for the ghost, which is Jin. Because, you know, they believe that Jin did way more for them than the samurai has ever done when it comes to this invasion. So they would much rather, you know, give their life to him than the samurai. So now there's like two factions fighting the Mongols, and obviously the Khan will also try to use that against us.
Yep. So there's a lot of political maneuvering, everything going on. Like basically, we are kind of on the cusp of a civil war breaking out now too. Luckily, you know, we still find our horse. We are able to escape the castle, and this is the cutscene that breaks me every time I run a new game category of this because, spoilers, the horse dies here.
Yeah.
And this is one of the most tragic scenes that has ever put into a video game, in my opinion. I mean, you know, we've seen a lot of characters die in video games and movies and whatnot. Just think of Ares and Final Fantasy VII and the like. But the way this horse dies, you know, where it just slowly trots and then succumbs to its wounds from the arrows that it suffered while we are rushing away from the castle, it is just, oh my god.
I also want to just say, I don't want to spoil any other games, but there's been so many games in the PS4 era where they kill your horse, and I'm tired of it. Like, can developers stop doing that? Again, I don't want to spoil any other games, but let me just tell you that I've played at least 7 games, I think, in the PS4 area where they're just like, yep, your horse is dead now.
Also, this mission, to cut them real quick, is really dangerous because we do not have our Mongol commander's armor. In fact, we don't have any armor or any weapons at all at the moment. So we actually have to do this stealth section the intended way. So it can go wrong if you don't do it perfectly. And since we also don't have the Tsushi roll anymore, as we explained earlier, we just roll through an enemy encampment. This section is actually, you know, it always makes me clench my butt cheeks a little bit. Yeah. Because I'm just not used to doing stuff in this game anymore.
It's very late in the run, and you can get spotted so easily. And if you get spotted, it's like a 2-minute time loss instantly, pretty much.
Also, fun fact, we've been actually imprisoned in Castle Shimura for a couple weeks, I think, at this point. So the Mongols have retreated into the far north reaches of the island. However, Kojong Khan, you know, he's not a dumb enemy. He is actually very intelligent and learns from, you know, what Jin and the others are doing. So the Mongols have wisened up to the poison that Jin used at Castle Shimura to poison the Mongols, and now trying to replicate it. And that is what they've been testing in Kin Village, you know, the destroyed village that we just passed through here. And we've now been shot by a poisoned arrow. However, since they haven't perfected the poison just yet, we gladly survive that. But this is now, you know, a race against time, because what the Khan is trying to do is replicate the poison and invade the mainland with that. And if they were able to get to the mainland with that poison, they would just be able to slaughter the whole population of Japan in an instant. So, you know, the stakes have literally been raised.
Yeah, and that also plays into, was it worth it for Jin to actually use the poison in the first place? Because, well, now the Khan has it.
Exactly. Like, did he do a mistake by trying to fight so hard for his country or not?
Yeah. And yeah, Josh, if you have any messages here while I go through the section as well, and a little bit of slow section for Ash as well.
All right, in that case, I'd just like to let you remind people that coming up soon, we have a Darkest Dungeon run, which will be, I did the thing again where I set myself up and I haven't prepared. It will be a blackout bingo co-op between Rebel Dragon and Tricrow. And during this run, they're going to need a ton of names for all of the heroes that they're going to use in the run. We currently have 7 names, but I promise you that will not be enough. So even if you just want to donate $5 to just slap in a name, $5, it probably will get used. It might take a bit, but they're going to get through 7 names. Currently, we have Gorak at $222, James May at $100, Overconfidence at $85, Edward Malus at $50, Hag at $15, Baby at $10, and Wayne at $10. So if you want to add any of your names to that, maybe a character from Ghost of Tsushima, maybe just your own name, get your donation in. Literally, probably, if you do 15, you're probably pretty guaranteed to get a name in at this point. So yeah, do that. Donations.ecmarathon.com or !donate in the chat. Have a look, come up with a funny name, and yeah, I'm sure I'll read some soon.
Yeah, and also, if you need an extra excuse for something to write in your message for the donation, just to send a small donation. I believe it's someone's birthday tomorrow, so if you want to send some happy birthday messages to Ash.
We are actually having a lot of birthdays this year, I've noticed. We had like Kadaref, who did the Muramasa Rebirth speedrun earlier in the marathon, has his birthday today.
Oh! Happy birthday.
We had Scamney, who, if you've heard, read a couple of donations over the marathon. He had, like, I think Wednesday, was his birthday. There is one more person that I'm blanking on right now. And yes, my birthday will actually be on Sunday. Sorry, oh my God.
Which is tomorrow, even though...
Which is tomorrow, even though we haven't slept that much yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give you that. So yeah, a lot of birthday kids this time around.
So if you need an excuse to throw in a small donation, just wish Ash a happy birthday. I'm sure you would appreciate it. And remember to add a donation incentive.
And make it a haiku.
Yes, please, haikus. Everybody loves haikus. Bonus points for puns, as we said earlier.
Yes.
I actually used the door instead of smashing it.
I mean, you were just, trying to be nice because, yes, you can open all these shoji doors, but obviously it's just faster just slice them open and be done with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Fun fact, though, the Japanese competitors are just so awesome at their work that, you just slice that thing open, skip a cutscene, and it's already repaired again.
Yeah.
They're awesome at their job. My God. Can you imagine having these people work for you at home renovation?
Fun fact, if you don't skip the cutscene, it does not get repaired.
Yep.
Because I guess the way they made cutscene skips for this game is just reload the next checkpoint.
Yes, it literally is that way because even though we weren't able to skip cutscenes or we aren't able to skip cutscenes in New Game, I think it was John or was it Ramatsu, one of the very early runners of the game actually found out that if you were able to go into a cutscene at the same time trigger a death of Jin, which automatically reloads a checkpoint, it would skip the cutscene. So yeah, whenever you skip a cutscene, what they literally do is they reload a checkpoint that is after the cutscene, which is also why to regain your health when you skip cutscenes, which is a pretty nice fact actually for a speedrunner.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, I'm not a game developer and I don't know much about it, but that's usually not how you program cutscene skips into a game.
I mean, to be fair, the game I think wasn't meant to have cutscene skips from the get-go. Otherwise, you would have them at the beginning. They were only added in for New Game Plus, which obviously came in way after the fact. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it might have just been the solution they went with. But again, I guess we can also reference Sly there again, because Sly is also notorious for not being able to skip cutscenes.
Oh, really?
And I believe actually it's the same thing in the Infamous games, although I'm not quite sure. But yeah, in the Sly games you can't skip any cutscenes, and but again, Sly 1 is so broken that the speedrunners actually have ways to skip the cutscenes.
Oh, Lord, they had it out for me. Okay, I actually died.
Oh well, I mean, I've died a couple times too.
I was gonna say, it gives you a little bit of time to catch up here.
Yeah.
Which isn't too, well, I'm not too...
Not much left in a run, but I guess it's
sad about it. But yeah, we are actually in the... Oh my lord. In the third act of the game, which, if you've been paying attention, is the last act of the game. Our only goal left is to kill the Khan, as they so elegantly put it. Oh my god, why are you still alive?
Yeah, because we'll learn during this act that, yeah, he's been making poison and they've been hoarding a lot to use on the mainland. And therefore the only solution is to kill him before he even gets a chance to get there. I guess quickly mention, in case you were wondering what actually happened in the real version of the Mongol invasions of Japan, they invaded thrice. This is based on the first invasion. They actually completely conquered Tsushima and Iki Island, which is the two islands between Korea and Japan. I believe Tsushima, they did, like I said, fight on Komodo Beach in real life. And the fight lasted about a day before they got outnumbered, because the samurai was just taken by, first of all, surprise. And they were outnumbered, I believe, 10-1 pretty much. So it was over quickly, and then from there it only took them actually only 5 days to conquer the rest of Tsushima, and it was a similar story on Iki. Where is he? And yeah, but once they hit the mainland, and they actually got to the mainland on the first invasion, they got hit by storms, so only very few of them actually got onto the mainland. And from there, because of storms and bad weather, they just couldn't keep the supply line, and that's how the first invasion failed. And also at the time, just to bring more history into it, during the first invasion, Japan was not the main focus, because they were still trying to conquer the southern part of China, which they eventually did, and then they tried Japan again, but it failed even worse that time, because then they got wrecked in another storm, which is why the Mongols has a reputation of being bad at sailing. Even though technically most of their sailors were actually Korean, because again, we mentioned earlier one of the key points that allowed allowed the Mongols to be so successful was recruiting the people that they were part of. So most of the invaders of Japan was actually not Mongol. They were Koreans or Chinese.
Fighting for them then.
Yeah. Nope. Every time I look at an enemy, they get terrified. I'm confused.
I'm just sorry when you recounted the whole tale about the storm wrecking them and stuff.
Yeah.
Instantly went to kind of happened at the start of this marathon too, because we had a very bad storm at the first weekend, and a lot of people got stranded at the airport or just outright couldn't come to the event. Which is also, while the schedule was a little bit in scrambles at the start of it. And, shout out to the scheduling team. You guys really pulled through to, through that whole little mess that was happening at the start of the marathon to, get it back together. And I think we had a pretty awesome event so far, even with all of that happening at the start of it. So, big shout outs to you guys. You rock. Keep on doing it. And, let's raise more money for charity.
Speaking of raising money,
still haven't done enough of that.
I have a donation. Yeah, yes. Sorry. We have a $15 donation from Anonymous, who doesn't leave a comment, but they did put it towards naming a hero Mr. Cat.
Nice.
And they did what I suggested. It was $15, so that's probably going to get used at some point. So yeah, if you've got any other names for the heroes in Darkest Dungeons, get them in now.
So if anybody of you actually watched the Broforce run, I think it was on Tuesday, we were also calling for more bro names. So, maybe get a couple bros into Dark Dungeon. That would make me happy.
I guess just to finish off the real story, the second failure of the Mongol invasion of Japan was also what eventually would lead towards pretty much its downfall, because they lost quite a lot. Of things through that, and also a lot of other Asian, nations that were around at the time kind of realized that they do have weaknesses, especially the fact that because they were not all Mongols, that could be exploited, because that led to communication issues, yada yada yada. So and also I guess secured Japanese history for centuries to come, because that basically meant that Japan was able to stay independent for long and, have such a unique history that a lot of people, treasure to this day. Because I guess it wasn't until the 1800s, or I believe, where they started really opening up again, except for a few...
They were pretty isolationist for a very long time.
So had the Mongols succeeded, Japan and their history could have been completely different.
Which is actually pretty,
Yeah.
pretty funny to me, because, just this week, actually, a new game release. You might have heard about it. Like-a-Dragon Ishin, which is the remaster of Yakuza Ishin.
Yeah.
And, that was I think, PlayStation 3 Japan exclusive Yakuza game, which actually is set historically at the end of that period, where Japan is opening its borders again for foreigners. And, obviously there are political tensions rising like that. And I am so looking forward to that game, to playing it. I actually have it on this very console right here, but because I am here at this event, I haven't been able to play it at all yet. So as soon as I'm home, you can bet your ass I'm going to be playing that all the time.
I guess I also want to give a shout out then to, what's it called, the Ronin game that's coming in a year.
Rise of the Ronin.
Yeah, that also is around that time period. I think a little bit before it happens. Where?
I think it's a couple years after Like-a-Dragon Ishin, actually, such a story.
Yeah.
They're a very close time period, right? Which is just pretty interesting, to see all this tied together in a way with all the time periods and the different games and kind of genres, I want to say. So it makes me pretty happy looking at the release calendar at the moment, not gonna lie.
Yeah, there's so many samurai game coming out, so if you are a samurai fan like Ash, you're eating pretty well right now.
Sure am.
For those who don't know, Ash is basically known as the samurai game guy. He plays... If there's a samurai in the game, he's going to play it. I mean, that's basically how it works.
It's kind of the law at the moment. Which is actually also pretty funny, because that is a thing that kind of materialized at ESA Summer last year, which I was actually starting to notice, hey, I got into ESA again with a couple more samurai games. I did that the marathon before. I've done it again now, so maybe this is actually starting to become a thing for me.
Yeah, become the samurai guy. Embrace it.
I mean, I am.
Yeah.
That is why I'm here with Ghost of
Really.
Tsushima. But yeah, story.
Yeah, let's get back to
So
the video
you know,
game
we've met Yuna again. You know, after we got poisoned by that arrow, she had all of our equipment. However, the problem is we are now in the northern part of the island, while all our allies, you know, the Yarikawa troops, Sensei Ishikawa, etc., are stuck in the south because Castle Shimura acts as a natural border between the southern and northern parts of the island. And obviously, you know, since we are a little bit at odds with all the samurai, and especially Lord Shimura at the moment, we can't exactly, you know, go through there. And that is, well, there's actually a second way through there, which is this fort, which I am totally blanking on the name of at the moment.
Kaminodage.
Kaminodake, thank you.
Yeah.
And, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah, so we start taking the fort Kaminodage, because that's the second entry to the north, by the help of the guy we met at the camp I was just at, which is Takeshi, who has a band of, I guess also like a militia for hire, I believe.
They're more like hunters or something?
Yeah, hunters, but they are
thieves and
skilled.
stuff?
Yeah, that Yuna knew about, I believe. I kind of forgot the story of that.
I
Takeshi a
think
little bit.
Takeshi is actually a
Yeah.
former lover of sorts of Yuna, which is why he is very looking forward to meeting her.
All right, okay. But yeah, basically they have been living up here in the north for a while without really any shelter, so they're willing to take the fort, help us take the fort in.
Because winter is coming.
Yeah, and they need a place to stay warm. So if they help us take the fort and allow our people to go through there, they can stay there for the winter, or stay there for long as they want.
Which is pretty funny because, you know, Jin doesn't exactly have the authority to make that call anymore.
Nope.
But they don't know that.
They don't know that, and also, you know, he's the ghost, so like people have a lot of respect for him for all he's done throughout the invasion.
But yeah, we liberated the fort, we took it over. Takeshi and his men now take residence in there, so we actually have a way to pass from the south into the north. And fun fact, until you clear that quest, you actually also cannot fast travel back into the previous eras of the game. You have to clear this quest, you have to liberate this fort before you're allowed to do that again, because, you know, the story reasons that we just discussed.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, we now have our friends back, we are in the temple, we have base of operations. So it is time for us to have a look at what the Khan is actually planning to do. That is actually where you find out, you know, that he is gathering all that poison and plans to use it on mainland Japan because he is holed up in Port Izumi. And Yuna and Jin will go on a reconnaissance mission to try and, you know, have a look at his defenses and what is happening there.
Dude?
I just told you, we are on a reconnaissance mission trying to find out what's going on.
It's my gameplay I'm not understanding. Right now I'm like...
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's not pretty. That's one thing, but hopefully you'll make it up for it.
Well, we are on another stealth mission. The Gathering Storm is actually the fastest/shortest mission in the game because, you know, we just started it and all we have to do is climb that lighthouse up there. Obviously, you're supposed to go all the way to the right, around the cliff, stealthily take out a couple enemies and not just straight up run through it with the Mongol Commander's armor equipped. So normally casually will take a little while longer. But with that, I think it takes about 3.5 minutes or something like that. It is very short. As are most of the missions in Act 3, like you kinda are getting the feeling that Act 3 feels a little bit rushed compared to the rest of the game. Like they really want to give the story its closure, and everything that you do just goes by really, really quickly.
That was another thing that's never happened before here.
I think you are making up for a lot of other marathon runs that happened a little bit earlier where they didn't have one of these moments.
I mean, my Horizon one was quite perfect, all things considered.
See, maybe that's the problem,
Yeah, you
right?
all of it on that.
Because I ran Resident Evil 5 earlier in the marathon, and what we did on stream was, it wasn't bad, but it definitely had its ups and downs, a lot of them actually. And this run now is going pretty well for me. So maybe this is just the one marathon run, you know, where you are getting a little bit shafted.
Yeah. I can already not wait to just get home and just smash out a PP or something. I'm already looking forward to redeeming this because this has This has been a disaster. I mean, you know, it makes the Mongol invasion of Japan look like a success right now. It's like
Well, maybe Josh can help out a little bit here.
Yeah.
With something to say.
All right. In that case, I have a $50 donation from Jaywind Ham, which is how I pronounced it last time. I hope that's vaguely correct.
I think so.
Okay. Who says, a haiku. Few people fought back. R2 in chat for horsey. I don't know if I'm reading haikus correctly, honestly.
I think it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Happy birthday, Aish. Yes, and that was,
Thank you.
they put $50 towards naming a hero in Darkest Dungeon, Val's Beard. Yeah.
I guess you have opinions about that.
Horizon reference. Is the character Val has a beard in the beginning of the game, but he gets rid of it because Aloy
Really?
says, yeah, Aloy says it's ugly.
No.
Yeah.
What?
And he ends up dying, and obviously he would have survived if he had the beard. That's obviously the case.
God.
Yeah.
Kept
so
so
that,
good in the promo pictures with the beard.
yeah, he only has it in the first quest. Like, it's the worst crime in that game by a
I
mile.
can imagine. Also, we are now gonna put on the best armor in the game. I hope you're all looking forward to it. Get your peaches ready in chat, I suppose, because it's Fundoshi time.
Yeah.
So we scouted out what the Khan is up to, right? Getting the poison onto the mainland. And we are getting ready to attack Port Izumi, you know, the new stronghold of the Mongol invasion forces on the island. So what Jin is trying to do, you know, he still loves his uncle, even though they are at odds with the paths that they have taken. So he will try to infiltrate Castle Shimura again. You know, we've liberated it, we escaped it, now we are infiltrating it. And leave a message for his uncle saying, you know what, we still have a common enemy. Let's fight together and try to take them down. So we will now infiltrate Castle Shimura in order to leave our uncle that message. And the fun thing is, you know, they are samurai. They are not Mongols. So the Mongol commander's armor that we've been using to sneak past the Mongols so far doesn't work on them. So we needed to find another way to make this stealth mission as easy as possible. And the best thing that we could come up with was using the Fundoshi, because it actually silences your movements a little bit, because you don't have any armor pieces clapping about while you're trying to be stealthy. And it also, I think, reduces enemy detection speed. So it's basically the next best sneaking armor that we can use.
Yeah.
Yes, we do know that the ghost armor also makes it so that enemies detect you slower, but obviously we have a charm loadout for the ghost armor that maximizes the terrification chance, and not exactly the sneaking part of it. So we just need to quickly have another armor set that we can just swap to for this particular mission. And hey, it turned out to be the Fundoshi, so enjoy Naked Jin for the rest of this mission.
Partially naked Jin. You know, PG-13 right now.
Peaches. I want to see all the peaches.
Yeah, we're not going to Hot Spring. I mean, you can see him kind of naked if you want in this game.
It's actually pretty cursed if you turn the camera around, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And doubt like Ken.
But yeah, it's just a fun underwear strat. My personal theory as to why it's a stealth armor is just because all those guys are like, yeah, we kind of see him, but it would be too awkward to do anything. It's just like, is it worth it? We're not being paid enough for this.
I mean, can you just imagine a pretty naked guy running at you at full speed with a weapon in his hand?
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. I mean, if I was a god, I would not be paid enough for that.
That's just terrifying.
Yeah, just let's pretend he's just not there, like Emperor's New Clothes or whatever.
So you've probably seen this part a little bit earlier when we were in the Quest from the Darkness at the end of Act 2. This is basically a variation on that, because now we use the rock to sneak onto this roof right here. Let's go around the building. And fun fact, you know, it's a stealth mission, right? But how the game handles stealth mission is you are allowed to be seen as long as the enemies do not call for backup or raise the alarm. That is actually when a stealth mission would fail. However, you're not supposed to go through this part as quickly as we do. So Lord Shimura is still giving a speech outside the castle. And these enemies are programmed in a way that you will not raise the alarm as long as Lord Shimura is not here. So even though these guys pretty much see me and even draw their weapons to try and fight me, they will never raise the alarm, which is why I will basically never fail the mission. However, if you were to fight and kill these guys, it would also give you a game over because, you know, Jin doesn't want to fight his fellow samurai. You know, they are still his allies in some capacity. So, you know, you're not allowed to fight any of these guys, which is why you have to sneak through them. But again,
Yeah, you can walk in there, smash every door, and nobody's gonna bat an eye.
exactly. So now that we have done all that, we scouted the Khan, we have our own army in place, we dropped a message by Lord Shimura. It is time for the second to last quest in the game, which will be Eternal Blue Sky. And it will basically be, you know, the finale, more or less. It will be the climactic clash of forces in Port Izumi, where, you know, all the forces are basically converging on and having their big fight out for reign of the island. So it's either do or die at this point.
Yeah. I accidentally picked the name Sora for my horsehair again.
What do you normally pick?
It's just in my PB run, I made the mistake of saying I think Sora is my favorite horse name in this. And ever since then, my PB run has just a ton of comments saying, "Oh, you like Kingdom Hearts." I was just like, god damn it. So,
is this part of the Kingdom Hearts canon now?
Yeah, apparently. Sora is a horse.
as if that game or, you know, that story wasn't confusing enough as it is.
Yeah, let's not open that can of worms. Let's just leave that.
Anyway, we actually have a little bit of a waiting section here because we have to wait for Yuna. She's just, you know, rocking around the camp, inspecting it. And after a while, she will come over to this point where we can talk to her and actually start the quest. And until that happens, I guess, Josh, you have anything you want to tell our audience, now would be the perfect time to go ahead and do that before we get into the big last battle of the game.
All right, well, before the big last battle, I'll just take a moment to remind everyone about prizes.esamarathon.com. Take a look at our beautiful prizes. We have so many. I normally read the grand prizes, but let's read some little ones. If you just want to get a little donation in, what could you possibly win? We have things like a PC maintenance toolkit. So if you watched the PC building speedrun earlier in the week, you might be interested in that. But we have retro pixel icons. We've got like a bunch of posters. What else we got here? We got some mouse pads. These are all like around $5 minimum donation, $10 million minimum dollar. So even if you just get a little bit in.
Did you say $10 million donation?
Did I say minimum?
Donate $10 million to win a mouse pad eventually, if you get picked.
Yes.
Next time on The Price is Right at ESA.
If somebody donates $10 million right now, I'll buy you any mouse pad you want. That's a guarantee for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but for real, we got plushies as well for $5 minimum donation, $5 donation. Yeah, there's loads. There's too many to read. Just head on over to prizes.ecmarathon.com, and all of your donations are cumulative. So if you donate like $5 yesterday, $5 today, that'll be $10 you'll be in the running for. So yeah, get all donations in. Have a look at all our ridiculous things. Maybe oogle the custom ESA colored PS5. And yeah, thanks for all your donations.
So good.
It does look cool.
I want it. So yeah, last climactic fight of the game, we are doing a lot of... where did these guys spawn from? What?
Oh, you didn't manipulate the camera correctly, I think.
I guess so. I mean, they just showed up right in front of my face.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, they literally appeared out of thin air in front of me.
Huh. I didn't know Mongols had that kind of power.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they would have run pretty well if they had that.
Yeah.
Where's the commander? What is going on here? You're not the commander. Where's the commander? Oh no. God. There we go. There it is.
Apparently Mongols are wizards and just appear out of thin air when they please.
I'm having a bit of a problem.
What?
I am nearly out of resolve.
Oh, you can do the backup where you switch to the Kensei armor. After you climb up the tower, you can jump off and do a perfect landing.
Oh, really? Okay.
And that restores the result. Not what we normally do before Shimura, you know.
I mean, again,
That's
so
usually my backup strat for it.
I just never had it happen that I had so little resolve at this point, so I never had to think of a backup here.
Usually for me it happens during the ghost quest earlier before Temuge. So
yeah, that can happen.
So I usually switch to Kensei there, but you can also do it here as a backup. Yeah.
That is why it's sometimes good to have another person running the same game next to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can just exchange strategies right here, right now.
Or you could also just try to fight the Khan without,
I was just gonna say, I could actually try and go for that, but let's first see if I can rectify the situation.
I'd actually say the Khan, even though he's actually not the final duel, spoiler.
How dare you?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I will say, in my opinion, he's the hardest duel in the game.
Yes. Sure.
Definitely harder than both Shimura himself and the Eagle, if you ask me.
Oh, not so oh my god, dude. Stop it. Okay, I'm just making absolutely sure I have enough resolve here. Obviously, you do not need to actually kill these guys, but yeah, might as well.
And just farm out the resolve, right? Now I'm coming up here to the waiting session before the final quest, and he's about to go in and has the standoff with Mr. Kuden Khan.
So here's the big bad that we see for the very first time.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Speedrun.
You see him a lot in the intro. That is automatically skipped. But yeah, he's Kuden Khan, the leader of the Mongols that has taken over Japan. He's the grandson of Genghis, which I am very well aware that doesn't narrow it down a lot.
Facts.
Yeah, but cousin of Kublai Khan, who is the Khan of Khans in the Mongol Empire. Who is, I would assume, during this time trying to conquer the southern part of Japan. But yeah, he's been in charge of the Mongol invasion, and now we're obviously taking him out, so he can't take the mainland.
Okay, the reason why we switched to the Kensei armor here is it has a perk where it very quickly builds up your resolve again, and it has increased damage on your sub-weapons. And the reason why that is important is because of the upcoming second fight against Kuden Khan on the ship. Because it's a free-for-all, basically. Not a free-for-all, but everything around you. It's not a duel. You are fighting a lot of enemies next to the Khan. And we are kind of afraid of him because he is a very tough opponent if you fight him one-on-one. So what we want to do here is just constantly spam sub-weapons against him. I'm kind of making a mess of this. I was trying something. Just like that. And then we go in, shoot some explosive arrows up here to take care of these guys, throw a bomb at the rest of them. Then hopefully we have ghost stands ready, because we're not going to kill any more enemies, but it gives us 4, with our charm loadout, very strong strikes against the Khan. So we will break his weapon now, so he has to use a sword and shield. I have 2 more strikes with the ghost stands. So I will use them, that will nearly kill him. I'm now out of ghost stands. I will just throw kunai, hit him twice, throw another kunai, hit him another time, and that was the fight. And with that, I guess on my side, we have time for anything, Josh, that you might want to say while we make our way to the end of the game.
Okay, awesome. In that case, I would like to say we have a $75 donation from our very own Tiny Tim, who says, "Hey all, donating for the awesome Ghost of Tsushima run. Good luck, runners, and hi Josh." Hello. Cheers. And they put their $75 towards that Mrs. Chalice cosplay for Cuphead later on today. Thank you, Tiny Tim.
There you go. I just finished the first part of the Azamo fight. And now on to the quote-unquote stealth section, where we're just going to run through it, of course. Similar to how Ash did. I'm doing good on resolve, so I don't need to do the backup. So I will just get the straight run through here. I guess show you, hopefully show you how fast you can run through here. You will get spotted no matter what here by these archers, which will fire like one shot at you that you have to dodge. And then all these enemies here, as long as you run fast, they should not have a chance to hit you. And then you just listen for the arrow shots. I guess the thing we haven't mentioned in the game is the Mongols. They like yell out whenever they shoot an arrow. And you can obviously use that to time your dodges.
Yeah, since I'm low on resolve again, I had to go for another backup where I do one of these rolls. Once again, we have specific charm loadouts, which are passive bonuses to our armor sets that we use throughout the run. Because not only do we increase the sub-weapon damage on the Kensei armor further, or give us, even further resolve increase. What you also do is the DLC, the Iki Island DLC, gives you a charm that if you do a perfect roll, or if you roll while jumping from a high place, it actually really fills your resolve quite a bit. And coupled with the built-in perk of the armor that increases your resolve gain, and a couple more badges, you gain a lot of resolve if you jump from a high place and do that roll. And that is what we use kind of as a backup whenever a boss fight comes up and we don't have enough resolve, just so we can go ahead and just use the Dance of Wrath during the duel again. Because, as we've seen already a couple times during the run, Dance of Wrath is very powerful. Elk going for a little bit of a different strategy here. He has the Gosaku's armor on, which is actually my favorite armor set in the game because it just looks awesome.
I'm just playing it a little safe here because of everything previously in this run.
The thing is, I don't think we ever explained the duels properly or the fighting mechanics in the game, because not only do you see the red health bar of Kotenkan at the moment, you also see that very thin white bar on top of that. And that is the enemy's block gauge, break gauge, whatever it is. And you have to break through that first before the enemy basically gets staggered and you can attack its health bar. And the Gosaku's armor has a lot of, as a built-in passive, a lot of stagger damage. So you can break through that guard bar of the enemy very, very quickly. And instead what I do is with the Ronin attire here, I have that loaded up with charms that have a chance to make me deal double damage. So if I get good rolls, I deal a lot of damage immediately with the Dance of Wrath that I'm using. If everything goes right, I only need to use 2 Dances of Wrath to actually go through that fight instead of 3. However, again, it is a chance, it is not guaranteed. So that is why the Gosaku's armor is like the safer version that we used basically in the beginning, just because, we didn't trust in the RNG gods too much. But I want to say at this point, it's kind of required to do so because it's just faster.
Where did Khan go?
But I guess with Elk's luck at the moment, I don't fault him for going with the Gosaku at all. Like, I can definitely play it a little bit risky here, because I am coming up on the end of the run on my part. Because, spoilers, we still have one more duel to go through, and I guess you can all guess who it is, because yes, we have defeated Koten Khan. We have basically scattered the Mongol invasion. However, our past is catching up to us, and what Shimura was basically telling us, yes, Jin is not a samurai anymore. His samurai clan will get disbanded, and all of his lands will be forfeited, or, being taken over by one of the other samurai clans who have come to the island from the mainland. And the ghost is now a fugitive, he's being hunted by the shogun and by the samurai. And the shogun gave Lord Shimura one final mission, and that is to bring him the head of the ghost. And, obviously, Jin will now face off against his uncle in one last... It's a very dramatic duel.
Yeah.
I can already tell I'm getting goosebumps from just talking about it.
But first, haiku.
First, yes, we're taking one last breather before that battle. We are supposed to write the last words of Clan Sakai.
I assume you're going for your favorite ending, right?
I go for yes. Because there are 2 endings to the game. We have basically decided that we have a thing in the community where whenever we PB, we use one ending, and if you don't, you use the other ending. I won't be PB because my PB/world record at the moment is a 54:55, which is just a minute or so faster than you, but I think you had a new PB while practicing for the marathon, which is only a couple seconds behind at this point.
No, I was on pace for that, but it failed at the very end.
Okay.
But yeah. So, after this marathon run, I need to redeem myself. So hopefully I get something like really good
so
next
yeah,
week.
this is the last boss fight of the game. We are nearly on time here. Oh yeah, Shimura's doing his thing.
Nice. Imagine if you choked the run now and I win.
Right?
Yeah.
No way that would happen.
I've seen people always... let me rephrase. I've seen myself lose a lot of times.
Oh yeah, Shimura can be a thing for sure.
He is quick. On lethal, especially. It looks like you got him now.
It should be over pretty quickly now, because I do have 2 more Dances of Wrath.
Just the visuals in this fight is absolutely insane. Also the entire walk up to the duel.
And time.
Time. Nice. Sub 3.
All right, yeah, this is the kill ending because, you know, Lord Shimura can't live with his shame. He wants to die a samurai's death. And in this ending, Jin goes through with Lord Shimura's wishes and, you know, grants him an honorable death because that is how Shimura lived. That is what he believed in. That is what he wants, even though it is obviously heartbreaking, no matter what you think about it.
And yeah, I'll specifically pick the other ending when I get to it, so you can see the difference. Also, the music here is just incredible.
And you know, it's just sad looking going forward because Jin now has to live with what he has done at this very moment.
Yeah.
You know, honoring the samurai code, which he has lived by himself all his life, you know, until the invasion happened, as we saw here. And that is the end of the game. Which is very tragic. You know, it's, I don't want to, not necessarily open-ended, but you know, it definitely doesn't end on a high note as you would expect from, like, you know, a normal game where you just kill the can and everything after that just resolves itself in a amicable manner. No, this game actually goes through with this, and yeah. So luckily, we don't have to suffer through this a second time, because Elk will go for the other ending.
Which is, in my opinion, not really that much better, in a way.
I mean, I would kind of say it's probably
like good mood.
it's debatable what is the canon ending at this point, I want to say, because, you know, we've basically seen the quote-unquote samurai ending to the game,
Yeah,
with
it's
both
usually
honoring the
referred
samurai
to as
code.
samurai or ghost ending.
Yes, and now, you know, spoilers, we will go for the spare ending where Jin does not kill Lord Shimura, which obviously has different repercussions, because, you know, you're letting your uncle live, but your uncle's mission is to kill the ghost, so he will just endlessly hunt you, you know, his family.
Yeah.
While you go ahead and do ghost things. But yeah, I guess I can take the time to do a couple of shoutouts already. Obviously,
Yeah,
the Ghost of
go ahead.
Tsushima speedrun community, you are an awesome bunch. Love all of you. Keep doing what you're doing. You know, we had Emerald, Ellie, and Charlie, you know, who are big parts of the Ghost of Tsushima speedrun community. We also have, you know, all the other Ghost of Legends runners. You're also doing an awesome job with your stuff. You know, this is probably the categories that, you know, if you're interested in speedrunning this game, you might be able to get into a little bit faster because, you know, the missions are smaller. They're only like 5 to 10 minutes. They aren't like a 3-hour beast that we've seen right here, right now, or even the 1-hour Iki Island run that I did last year at ESA. So, you know, if you're interested in that, come and join the Discord. We have one Discord for both of the communities, you know, the main game and Legends. And, you know, let us know what you like about the game, because it's great. You know, obviously we all love it. Shoutouts to Elk here, obviously, for joining us. And let's give him a moment of silence for his fight against Shimura.
Good stagger there. Yeah, should be good enough here.
One more Dance of Wrath. One more hits, and there we go. And then we are going to spare.
And here's the ghost ending for you. Time. So yeah, this is what happens when, you know, Jin chooses not to honor his wish and, you know, give him the honorable death.
Let's just take a moment to watch that, because it's not that long.
Yeah. I mean, he would be hunted no matter what, to be fair. But I guess now Shimura will be the one to do it. And then, of course, the iconic mask.
Because yes, he has basically fully become the ghost. You know,
Yeah.
he's not living by the samurai code anymore. He has no reason to honor it, and just becomes the ghost and walks away.
Yeah, similar as that. Basically fully embracing the role of the ghost instead of living in that limbo that he kind of does in the other ending. And I guess fun fact, depending on which ending you choose, you get a different color for your samurai outfit. Because my ending gives you the red one and he has the white one, as you'll see here after the credits here. So yeah, that is Ghost of Tsushima, Lethal, New Game Plus, all the other stuff. But it was a fun race, first race done in a marathon, so enjoyed it. Good opponent.
That was great.
And yeah, run didn't go that well, but oh well, it happens.
I mean, we were underestimated, but
yeah.
like we said, like the RNG can be really brutal. Like it can
It
be
can.
for you, it can be against you. Normally, it will be a little bit in the middle. This time, it kind of favored me a little bit more than it did Elk. And you know, next time we would do this, it can go absolutely the other way. So,
Exactly.
You know, we just have to try and get Charlie into this as well, so we can make it a three-way and see what we do there. I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
But yeah, really enjoyed it. All the shout-outs has already happened. Shout-outs to my community that donated. I just want to give a shout-out to them. And yeah, check out both our streams. Like I said, Ash does all the samurai stuff. I do both, obviously, Ghost and Horizon, but definitely also gonna branch into some other games soon. Even though I've said that for a year, but it's gonna happen.
I mean, the Horizon franchise is pretty great. You know,
Yeah, it is, but there are other great games out there too. For sure. But yeah, and like I said, after ESA here, I'm probably gonna be grinding this game a lot because I do feel like it deserves to be quite a bit more optimized than it is. Because I mean, it's good, it's optimized, but I feel like some very specific strats
I mean,
are still to be found.
We've also been trading world records quite a bit. Like ever since
Yeah.
Elk came in, I've been living, you know, on the edge of my seat whenever he runs the game because he will probably take my world record at one point or another. Like
You'll probably
he had
take
it
it back.
quite a while leading up to this marathon because you know I've quote unquote abandoned it for a little while, did some other things. So he's had it for quite a while, and then I did some more marathon practice and I got it back.
Yeah.
So it's
And I was close to take it back before as well, so we'll see. We'll see how long it takes after the marathon.
If you want to see more Ghost of Tsushima here, I will actually be running the new game Two Islands Lethal category during the German really, really longathon that will be happening later on in March. I think my run is on the 14th of March, which will be a 8 to 9 hour speedrun because it will be the category where I cannot skip the cutscenes. So if you want the full Ghost of Tsushima story experience, go ahead and join me on the German channel. Also, shout out to obviously all the restreamers, especially Dorian Snowball, who will probably do the German restream at the moment. He's also, you know, a member. He hasn't done any speedrun stuff for the game, but he is part of the community anyway. Part of both of our communities. So shout outs to him and shout outs to ESA for having us, for letting us showcase this. And I guess we should be going on with the marathon because we have more awesome runs coming. Last day of ESA, let's smash through those $100,000, $135,000 goal. And keep on donating, guys. It's for good cause.
Take care.
That's right. Coming up next, we have Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge by the Woofs. Don't go anywhere.